All right, folks, welcome to another episode of the Cleveland Moto Podcast. We are at episode number 380. That's right. Tell your friends. Oh, nice. The sound of bourbon being tinkled all over the place.
Wait a minute, think about this. So 380, average around 2.5 hours.
Right.
That's a lot of fucking talking.
It was funny when I was getting our credentials for AMA Vintage Days. They said, what is the reach of your media presence? And I thought, oh, well, our YouTube channel, Cleveland Moto YouTube channel, has like 1.8 million downloads.
What?
Yeah. 1.8 million views. And then I gave up trying to look at, because, you know, there was a break in our podcast where we went from the Blogspot to Buzzsprout, right?
Right.
So we lost a lot. There's just a whole lot of stuff that was just lost. We lost like 7 years, right?
Yep.
But it was funny because then I looked at the downloads of our podcast and it's like 7.5 million.
Wow.
It's obscene. The number of downloads is just fucking crazy. So I was just like, a lot. It was like, how many? A lot. So, and you know what? And it's funny because the AMA Vintage podcast that we did last year and also our video from AMA Vintage Days that you did got fucking tons of play.
Yeah.
Do you know how much play it got? More than their video.
Yeah, right.
Which I think is funny. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, our Cleveland Moto Unkie Phil video.
Yeah, we got three parts. Part 1, part 2, and then a recap.
And a recap, exactly.
Damn.
Yeah, we did better than they did.
That's pretty cool.
So there you go.
Oh, we got to come hard this year, though.
It's mid-Ohio, so.
No, but I'm saying media-wise, I'm gonna have to take it seriously.
All right.
Yeah.
I think the idea is, the Cleveland Moto way is to not take it seriously.
So we need
but
to
I can't
top
do
the
that.
burnout after the podcast, right?
Okay.
Okay.
We
need to
can
top
do
that.
something.
Yeah.
We'll work on
Lisa
that.
love that.
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah.
You are
After the
aware.
fact, yeah.
You are aware that there's going to be a 3-wheeled Honda Gyro canopy
Oh shit! I forgot about that.
in proximity to the chief offender,
Giddy up.
and he owns it.
Oh,
Yeah, right. All right. It's not just for getting us pizza, right?
I forgot about that. You got yelled at.
Yep.
She was like, you know that the president of the AMA is giving a talk next door. And you're
I
like,
don't give a say what?
I don't remember
honestly-
getting yelled at all.
Yeah,
You couldn't hear it.
exactly.
It was as if I never was yelled at. I can promise you that.
And while Dave Aldana was giving his speech, keynote speaker Dave Aldana, world racing champion, the man everyone came to see.
right.
Unless you were like, who the fuck is that? Oh, remember the guy with the skeleton leathers? Oh, that guy?
Yeah, right.
The skeleton leathers guy. He's giving a speech 37 feet away from Skidmark Garage, who is power fucking a 2-stroke. Like some guy brought in and he's like, man, you know it ran like shit before, but I did the thing you told me to and listen to it. And he was just pinning it. Like at any moment, one of the 2 pistons of that Triumph or that Suzuki Titan is going to jump right out. Open pipes, nothing. And I looked over at Dave Aldana in his booth talking to, 435, crusty old men. And he's just like, it's a motorcycle event. You'll have that.
Yeah.
And he's like, of course it will. Yeah, because you're fucking cool. So to my immediate left,
Oscar.
to his immediate left,
Steve Sleepy.
and to him,
Chris Smith.
and left of him,
KROMKE.
and left of him,
Johnny Mac.
second largest fireworks purchaser,
Johnny Firecracker Mac.
Johnny Firecracker Mac.
Yeah,
so is all that for Johnny Macastan?
That always just comes with me.
It just
wherever
sort of
I go.
shows up, right.
You know what
Fair
I mean?
enough.
I like,
For America Day.
it won't all happen on the 4th of July. They'll be left over.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Well, you brought some from last year to Bandcamp, right?
Yeah,
Right.
I burn up my final stocks from 2021.
Also
and
true.
Circa 221.
This is 2022. I got another load coming in.
But I like today, like when you
Load.
texted, everybody's like, oh, where the fuck is Johnny Mac? He's late, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, he's getting fireworks. Everybody's like, oh, okay.
Okay.
Good enough. He's getting
Yeah.
fireworks.
We'll wait.
But today was the last day for 50% off, man.
Oh, I fucked. I screwed the pooch.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yep, and you liked it.
He's now a distributor.
Tomorrow, 75% off?
Yeah, I wish.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, wait. So, anywho, I just wanted to jump into the whole madness of 4th of July that is Cleveland, Ohio. Checking with Mickey, it's literally 4 days.
Yep.
T-minus 4 days. How many people do you think came into the shop today and said, I need a bike by the 4th of July?
Oh, a lot.
All of them.
No shit. Every single person that came into the shop today was like, Yeah, so I wasn't sure what I wanted to buy. I'm considering about 47 different options. Not even sure what brand of motorcycles exist on the planet. And I start taking them through, and I spend an hour helping folks narrow it down. And we get to that awkward point in the conversation where I'm like, so I'm the only one working here, right? You're not helping at all? Well, I'm seeing a lot of stuff that says by order only. What can I have by this weekend? Oh, by this weekend, you mean tomorrow?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. Well, I don't know. Let's talk about the 37 other people that have bikes in the service department and have bikes that they bought 2-3 weeks ago, or bikes they ordered 2 or 3 months ago that are finally here, and we're prepping them and working really hard to get them ready for them. And you want to just go right to the front of the line. Fucking cool, man.
See
Good
that?
for you.
See that Ducati back there?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
you can ride that
right.
away right
Yeah.
now.
Right.
See that speed? That FZ06?
Exactly. Yep.
You can ride that away right now.
Exactly. I was like, so these are the bikes you can have right now. And then they're like, oh, well, can I get that one in blue?
Do you see it in blue?
Well, blue is what you're going to have to do because 1, they don't make it in blue, and 2, this is what we fucking got. See the one that says available now in the headlight? I literally went around to every bike in the shop, every single bike in the shop, and put a Post-it note on it that says available now or order only.
That's a good
So
point, yeah.
a child could figure it out, and yet here we are.
Oh.
And they're like, well, I need to have it by this weekend. And I need to get 47 other bikes prepped for people who made the decision 2, 3, 4 months ago. And I want to reward them for making their decision 2, 3, 4 months ago. So I'm not exactly going to move you to the front of the line, you who didn't know the difference between 2-stroke and 4-stroke until about 37 seconds ago. So, yeah, that's the thing. It is fucking bonkers that people forget that the 4th of July is going to happen until about, apparently, the Thursday before.
Yeah.
The Thursday before, you don't understand, I need to have this motorcycle. I need to have this scooter.
I want to
by
show up at
4th
the
of
party
July.
on my new bike.
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly right. And I'm going to assure you, you picked the wrong year.
I think a lot of people probably wanted scooters.
Yeah.
Because they know when they're leaving the party, they're only going to have one hand, and you can still get home with them.
Oh,
Yeah.
Nervous Larry's House of Fireworks? Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Missing a couple fingers.
I can't pull the clutch, but I got a scooter, so it's okay.
Oh, that's fucking hilarious. There is
What's
a...
happened to you?
I don't know.
I used to be normal.
Since you left the flower shop, you've really gone down.
Yeah.
I know.
Fucking corporate
He's
Steve.
finally out there. Yeah.
I'm at home, man. I'm with my brothers, my kinfolk.
Nervous Charlie's Fireworks is the brand I was thinking of, and it's real. That's not made up.
yeah.
That's not made up. So for real, that's the thing is 4th of July weekend around here is just an overwhelming state of panic.
You know, I might want to start a fireworks company and call it like 3-finger fireworks.
Yeah.
Because would you buy food off of a skinny chef? No, you're going to buy fireworks off a guy with all his fingers.
I think there is something like that already.
Yeah.
Isn't
If
that the one
you
were
have a
talking
shop teacher and he has all of his fingers, not a good shop teacher.
Not a good sign. Yeah, not a good sign. Not a good sign. You're exactly right. Yeah. Yeah. For anybody keeping track, this is the website that Susan and I created. This is the website Susan and I created a few years ago. It's called Uncle Stumpy's All Badger Petting Zoo. Oh, we were trending for a minute. we created this a very, very long time ago. I don't know what my stats are for it, but again, it's literally all about angry animals. We have Uncle Stumpy's All Badger Petting Zoo, but the new attraction is the feral cat cuddle puddle and the back teen slip and slide. Yeah.
Oh, geez.
So if you are interested in having a good time out, so at the Uncle Stumpy's All Badger Petting Zoo, in 2016, we had a Christmas special on 8-fingered gloves and badger wax to keep them shiny. We spent no small of time curating Uncle Stumpy's All Badger Petting Zoo. It really is. It is one of the few things I've done in my life. Oh boy, we know where that one came from. Yeah, Uncle Stumpy's All Badger Petting Zoo.
That's an OnlyFans shot.
That is an OnlyFans. Yeah, I know. You're
What's the website for feet stuff?
I don't know.
There is a one.
I'm
That's just,
sure.
I can't remember the name of it.
Well, there's cake farts. I mean, everything.
yeah,
exists.
there's everything.
Yeah.
But again, Uncle Stumpy's All Badger Petting Zoo. Sign up for it on Facebook. I assure you, we've done nothing to the site in a very long time, but
Still hilarious.
but it is still hilarious. It is, of course, sponsored by Rabid Badger Entertainment. Anybody who works at the shop knows who that is.
Yeah.
We also decided that we should have the Habitat for Huge Manatees as well, instead of the Habitat for Humanities. We also have we have all Badger landscaping services are available. Yep, and yeah, all right. So this is a weird page, Uncle Stumpy's All Badger Petting Zoo. But again, we put a little bit of effort into it. You know, at least 4 cocktails.
Chris is writing it down.
Yeah, Chris is ready. Uncle
He's
Stumpy's
already following it. And,
All Badger Petting Zoo. Yeah. That's right there. If you're not living if you're not that badger. Like if you're not that badger right there, you could be doing better. Right.
Speaking of badgers and weird animals,
Speaking of badgers,
there's a meme going around. It's not a meme, it's just a video.
right.
But a raccoon is on this lady's table, and it's laying there, and its tongue's hanging out, and it looks dead, right?
Okay.
And she's like, "Fuck, man, this raccoon died on the table." And the guy's like, "No, man, it's breathing. Look." And they're looking, and sure enough, the thing is breathing. And then he looks over, and he's like, "Oh, damn, you didn't put the moonshine away, did you?" And so they had flavored moonshine, and the fucking raccoon drank it. So the raccoon was just shit hammered, and it's just laying there with his tongue fucking hanging out.
I mean, not for nothing. That sounds like a good time.
Yeah.
You get a stupid drunk raccoon. Yeah.
Well, that's the guy keeps going back. He's like, "Don't get near him. He's gonna go crazy."
No, not if he's hammered.
Yeah.
Not if he's hammered. That might be the only time you can do like a marionette show with a raccoon.
Yeah.
You're like, "Hi guys, how you
That
doing?
reminds me of another
I'm
one.
Rocket the Raccoon."
There's a cat that ate an edible, and it's also like fucking dazed and with his tongue out. Like,
I think cats are stoned in general.
I think so
true.
too.
They just look at a wall. There's nothing on the wall, and they're staring at it. And then they swat at something, and you're like, "What the fuck are you
it's all
seeing?"
the ghosts
Those are
and shit.
ghosts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all ghosts. Absolutely
They
ghosts.
have a portal to the other dimensions.
So, yeah, no kidding. So I noticed tonight, raise your hand if you rode a scooter or motorcycle in tonight. Really good turnout tonight.
I was going to say, if you
good
didn't
turnout.
ride today, you might have to get kicked off the podcast. It's perfect.
I was talking about bikes, so that counts for something.
Yeah.
I was negotiating something.
Yeah, he negotiated a bike deal today. So, yeah. So it's
Does he want it by 4th of July?
no, he doesn't.
Oh, I didn't tell you
actually
that?
have it right.
I didn't
right.
tell you that? I need it by Monday.
It would take us till Monday to dig it out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It
I
is-
rode a Sportster the other day.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
A new one or an old one?
Oh, an older one, like 90 something.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was an 883 too. It wasn't even a 1200.
Those are faster.
I rode a moped this
It
week.
wasn't bad.
counts.
I mean, he had it. He fixed it up like not so much forward controls, lower bars, kind of more comfortable. Like not a stupid, really riding
it James?
position. No,
okay.
it was
Offer?
a guy I work at.
Okay. Well, James
Ben.
is a 1200. Yeah.
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 I took it for a little honk. Took it up 60 miles an hour. It was good. It was nice. I mean, I didn't hate it.
They're kind of smooth. Like they have.
He didn't have real loud pipes on it. It was stock pipes drilled out just a little bit, just a little boom, boom. And it was like,
But that belt gives it a certain slink. Like when you go, it has like a slink to it. They're not bad.
it made me look at, maybe go to the marketplace and look at Sportsters.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. Look.
Yep.
Maybe look. I didn't say
I was going
buy.
to say, right now, everything's kooky. But before it got all kooky, we were the house of the $1,200 Sportster. Like,
I mean, Sportsters under $4,000 are a plenty.
And once you got a
no
beach house,
shortage.
you need a Sportster.
right. Yeah.
It's almost like it could almost be a new starter bike for somebody.
Well,
like,
of course.
Yeah.
It's if you wanted the world's worst starter bike. Like, if you're like, I've never ridden a motorcycle before, and I'd like to learn how to ride a motorcycle. And the guy at the Harley dealership says I should buy a Sportster 883. And then he says, later on, I can bring it in and he can turn it into a 1200 for me.
Right.
So it's a bike that grows with me. It's perfect.
I don't think you need to turn it into 1200. I was pretty happy with the 883. I would have just rode it like that.
Just ride it just like that.
That 883 has been an 883 for 20 some years.
Right.
He got it from uncle or father-in-law or something.
Yeah.
Handed down through the family. It's had a little bit of work done to it. I mean, not like work done to it.
What color was it? Was it nice?
It was like red, maroon, and then there was a hot pepper with a bandana on holding a margarita or something on the tank.
Of course it was.
It was pretty nice. It was actually pretty nice. It was like
Fantastic.
That's a spicy bike.
That's a spicy meatball. So that brings up an excellent topic, because we have had one of our absolute baller Patreon members who just like every week religiously sends us. I think he's trying to provide us with content.
I would rather have a Sportster than any old British bike, probably.
Oh,
Really?
okay. All right. Yeah. And you know
How
what?
old of a British bike?
I'm with you. Anything that's
Because I'll
actually
take my
fucking...
Triumph over a
Well, I
Sport.
mean, that's not an old British bike.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
like,
Okay.
Is yours a Hinkley?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, that is technically still a British bike.
Yes, it
Yeah,
is.
Right. I get that. Yeah, I do get that.
I like it.
Yeah, I mean, they're fine. I'm not going to shit on them. They're good bikes. Yeah, I'm not going to go too crazy hating on them. Yeah, they're legit. But I do also, having owned a bunch of Sportsters and having owned a bunch of that. Yeah, I could see that because I've owned a lot of old British bikes too, and there's something really nice to be said. Now, for most Triumphs and BSAs and stuff, you can get any part for the bike, Norman Hyde or any one of the suppliers. You can get any part for a 50s Triumph, but getting a part for a 80s or 90s Sportster is like you just shout out the window and people throw parts at you.
yeah,
Like,
especially if you want
it's
stock
really
parts
easy.
because everybody's
takeoffs, baby.
I mean, there's
Yeah.
all kinds of takeoffs.
For real. It's not even. It's crazy how easy it is to keep a Sportster going.
Well, and what's kind of neat. So there's two companies now that make these kits, but they make Sportster adventure bike kits.
Oh.
Where
Oh,
like
there
you get bigger suspension, a fork extenders, a chain drive kit, and all this in a high pipe.
Right on.
And they're actually pretty fucking cool because they got the torque that you want for like gravel riding and stuff like that. So
Right
it's kinda
on,
neat.
yeah.
This particular 883 was being brought back to more of an 883. They had apparently at some point put wider triple trees and bigger forks and a bigger front tire on it. And he was like, no, man, let's make it back into a Sportster, what it should be.
Right on.
For his son to ride, who's, 18 or something like that and rides bikes. I mean, he's not a new rider, but he was turning it back into what it should be.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fucking cool. There's no getting around it. That stuff.
And you talk about a lean, skinny bike.
Right.
It was nice, just nice and skinny
Slim,
and everything. And
Did you feel like you wanted a leather vest afterwards though?
no.
Okay.
Did not. Did not.
Good man.
I felt like I wanted it to have a much easier pulling clutch and the foot pegs a little bit lower and back a little bit.
So I had never ridden a Harley until about a month ago, and I got to ride a V-Rod. So I've still never ridden a Harley.
So you've still never ridden a Harley.
Wah, wah.
It's kind of true,
The
man.
V-Rod's pretty badass. Like I liked it when I rode a V-Rod. It was like fast. It was nice.
I
Yeah.
don't know about fast.
I mean, it was pretty.
Try to maneuver around a parking lot on it.
Oh,
Negative.
Yeah.
was it bad?
Yeah.
You didn't like it?
It was terrible.
They
Wow,
don't
alright.
turn real good.
No.
Yeah, they're not low speed maneuverability kind of bikes. The steering geometry on that is challenging on its best day.
Just stop and duck walk it.
Yep. Death of 1,000 cuts. Yeah, that's really. I mean, in my opinion, that might be the way to do it. I was trying really hard to pull up a KBB because one of our Patreons had written a really good message saying, hey, look, I'm about to do some bike buying and bike selling, and I want to know what's the difference between KBB and NADA. And the difference between KBB and NADA can be a shit ton of money. It's kind of epic how far off those two things can be. And when you get into two bikes that are ultimately identical, and you go after KBB and you go after NADA, you'll be like, how the fuck can there be a $1,200 difference between the two? And it is shocking sometimes that people will use this as a high watermark for like the industry standard of how to price a bike. So I pulled up a 1996 Harley Davidson XL 883. Okay, so this is base model 96 Harley. And so when this bike sold new, it was the cheapest Harley you could buy. It was right around $5,000. But what they didn't tell you about was at this particular era, the $5,000 was the get them in the door price, and then they added everything onto it. But right now, 1996, they're saying low retail, which means retail means what the bikes have sold for at the lower end of the spectrum. Bike might have needed some help. Average retail is just a complete 18-month window of every title that's changed hands, and NADA gets their data from the North American Auto Dealers Association. It's real numbers generated on titles, not some ambiguous fortune teller looking at a fucking crystal ball.
Because nobody lies on titles.
Dealers can't. And that's a big thing. So when we're doing a bro deal, yeah, sure. Oh, of course that 96 Sportster was $500. Of course it is. But you see, the dealer has two strong motivations to put the real price down. The one is those are his expenses. And anybody who's ever run a business knows that your expenses are important because those are the taxes you don't pay. Okay? So you don't want to have one of your chief primary expenses, which is your inventory. You don't want to devalue what you're putting out into the world. So you're cutting your own throat by saying you only paid $500 for that motorcycle. Just to give the schlub who's buying it from you, well, you can save some money on your taxes. But the other real thing is called the Bureau of Motor Vehicles Dealer Licensing Investigation Unit. That's a mouthful. No, and it starts with a $3,000 fine and a loss of your dealer's license for 30 days. So is it worth giving somebody the bro deal on the taxes? Hey, look, I'm only going to put down $500 on the title here, so you only got to pay about $250 in taxes. If I put down the real $3,000 you paid, it's going to cost you about $450 in taxes. I'm helping you out, buddy. I'm saving you $250. And your business is now closed for 30 days. And they're watching you like a fucking hawk for the rest of your fucking life. So dealers are actually encouraged to put the real price down. And so that's why we think that the NADA value is more accurate. Whereas Kelley Blue Book is kind of run by the insurance agency. So Kelley Blue Book's secret silent partner is the Insurance Underwriters Association of America, whatever the fuck it is. But that's where they get their numbers. And so this is where we have some problems when we look up values using KBB, because it is in the best interest of KBB to go, Sleepy, I see you bought that 96 Harley there. You're going to want some insurance for that, aren't you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So does the insurance company want to insure a $4,000 bike or a $1,400 bike?
$4,000.
Well, they want to insure a $4,000 bike, of course. So all of a sudden, Sleepy's bike is worth $4,000.
Sure.
Now, if you don't think that makes a lot of difference, amplify that into the form of a 2012 Ford F-150.
Sure.
And all of a sudden, that F-150 is only, $2,000 or $3,000 below retail. But NADA shows actual title transfers happening at $10,000 or $12,000 below that. So where you really see a difference between NADA and KBB is when you get into much newer vehicles. So when you're getting into stuff that has depreciated a long way, it'll be really hard for you to find a KBB listing on it. And that's why I was noticing I couldn't find a KBB listing for a 96 Harley Davidson Sportster. And there's a reason for that. And for you guys that are playing the game at home and want to know why it is when you type in certain motorcycles into KBB, like a 1996 Harley Davidson Sportster. Let's go in there. We type in 1996. We type in Harley Davidson. We know that there were millions of them sold in America. Sure. And have been sold many times since 1996. So you would think with that common of a motorcycle, arguably the most common motorcycle, that KBB would have a listing for it. And they don't. Here's why. Because in the standard rules of depreciation for a motorcycle, figuring about $500 in depreciation per year, a 1996 Harley Davidson motorcycle is already 26 years old. And therefore, its depreciation has made it fall off the scales. And KBB will not print a number for which it can hang itself in the future.
Right.
So they would rather say, we were unable to find the information on your motorcycle. But our Blue Book of Insurance Values says that your bike is worth $4,000. So they are not going to publish data that would be in conflict with their own best interests. So if you can't find your motorcycle on KBB, it doesn't mean that none of your motorcycle has sold in the past 10 years. It just means that KBB does not want to admit the low value of your motorcycle.
And to your point, insurance companies, man, they'll fuck anything. Like they don't. No,
Do you really think so?
No, but I mean, obviously, but I'm saying, but like they don't take into account. So like my Triumph, they're selling every day a really shitty one that's broken for $2,800. All the way up to like $5,000 if they're mint, right?
Right.
But Adam couldn't even sell the thing, when the thing fell on the shifter and broke the shifter off. The insurance company gave him like $800.
Of course,
for the bike.
to total it out.
Total it out.
Right. If John's scenario in 883, 1996, if John had that bike,
John.
and if John had that bike and it needed $1,200 worth of work, it's not getting $1,200 worth of work. Oh. It's getting totaled out. They're going to tell John, well, you know what? We're going to give you $1,200 for it minus your $500 deductible.
Right.
Now John's going to get a check for a whopping $700.
You know, and this is a problem. My wife's friend got her car.
I think my $500 deductible
Yeah.
then means that I get to keep the bike.
Well, and that's the point.
Well, you can
Because
buy it back
that's
from
my no, I bought it back. The $500 is
right.
of my deductible is keeping you're not giving me that, so that's the value of the
My
crash
point
bike.
is, I'm sorry, Mr. Insurance Agent. That was a crank call. I was just busting your chops. Please, let's forget this call ever happened. My bike is fine.
Yeah.
And I'll call you tomorrow and cancel my policy. Right? That's what that is.
Good day, sir.
Good day, sir.
Check this out. So my wife's friend had a 2018 Toyota something.
Yeah.
Right? Like a Corolla or whatever.
Of course.
And she got hit and the car is completely fucking fucked.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
So the insurance company
Doesn't
gave
take
her
much.
the value, according to them, of
Right.
a 2018 Corolla, which she can't even buy a used
Of
car
course you
for.
can.
It's
Absolutely.
Like, it was like $14,000, and like you can't even find a car for that.
And this is why.
But okay, so here's the flip side. Like if you're looking at homeowners insurance, sometimes they want to charge you for the replacement value. So your house might be a $150,000 house,
Right.
But the cost to rebuild that house would be $300,000.
It's the building we're sitting in right now.
They're going to charge you insurance on a $300,000 property that you don't own. So what if they said, "Oh, a Corolla? Well, your insurance is going to be for a brand new Corolla at $28,000,
Right.
and you're paying." You wouldn't want that either.
No, you wouldn't. And that's absolutely true. This building that we're sitting in right now, we paid $235,000 for it, right?
This is $1 million building.
Apparently it's $2.5 million according to my insurance company. So my insurance company looked me square in the face and said, well, you know, you bought it for $235,000, but if you had to replace it. And I went,
If somebody stole this building,
and I said, sir, if this building burned to the ground, there is zero chance in hell I would rebuild it. Zero chance in hell that I would rebuild it. So don't worry about this $3 million that you would never pay out anywhere in some fantasy land where you're going to actually pay me $3 million to rebuild my building, because we know that's not going to happen. So I was like, I had fun with them. But this is where, when you're buying or selling a motorcycle, if you don't think that every day somebody comes into my shop with their 2008 Snot Rocket 1000 and says, according to Kelley Blue Book, this thing's worth $5,600.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, bruh. Let me introduce you to Nada that says it's worth $2,400. Right? If it's immaculate.
Yeah, your sprockets that have no teeth.
Right.
The
Whatever.
chain that's rust colored.
Whatever. And they're like, yeah, but there's 15 of them listed on Cycle Trader for $5,400.
put yours up there.
Yeah. And now there can be 16.
There's a 1983 GS 1100E
Yeah.
on Craigslist for $12,000 because it's mint and original.
Yeah.
But that'll be there for
Right.
Ever.
Oh, yeah.
So I can say, hey, I saw a GS for $12,000, so mine's obviously worth almost as much.
Right. You get into, if you have some fun with Kelley Blue Book, you can reverse engineer using Kelley Blue Book and find out the bikes that they own, the only bikes that they really want to write insurance claims for, by seeing what's there. So if you type in a 1988 Honda Touring, which is just about the point where bikes start to disappear, like when you type in 1988 into into KBB, the only Honda that comes up is a Goldwing. Okay, so according to that 1988 Honda Touring, they're saying that its typical listing price is $36,500 and its trade-in value is $24,700. Look. I don't want to break anybody's fucking heart out there, all right? But if you've got a 1988 Honda Goldwing and you are convinced that you're going to trade it, you are going to be fucking sad, man. I mean, you're going to be super duper sad. And I feel like for most people...
Just hang on to it.
Yeah, just hang on to it. And we tell people that all the time. And that's absolutely true.
More to him than it does to you.
It sure does. And that's absolutely right. Because when you say there's no such thing as sentimental value, there is. It just works backwards. Yeah. It just works backwards. That's all. It just goes the other way. Because, you know, a good condition one, according to NADA, a good condition one is worth $1,780. Well, that's a damn sight lower than the typical listing price of $3,600, because you can see just in this comparison, 1988 Honda Goldwing versus 1988 Honda Goldwing on NADA, the difference is $3,615 versus $1,780.
It's about half.
It's half.
Yeah.
So how wrong can Kelly Blue Book be? Fucking half. Right? Half of
Only
the
half
value.
wrong.
Right.
There's a reason they call it Kelly Blue Balls, because if you take that number, you're going to have blue balls at the end of the
I mean,
day.
it depends on the condition of the vehicle too. I mean, at a certain point, the blue book doesn't matter. I mean, when you're dealing with old stuff that's in really great condition.
Yeah. Yeah. But using it as a guideline is a very treacherous place to be. So that's our podcast. So our podcast listener, a Patreon, who said, hey, look, I'm trying to price out a bike. Should I use KBB or should I use NADA? Well,
Does it help you or hurt you?
right.
Depends
and that's
which
true.
way.
So
Yeah.
like the joke has always been, you buy it NADA, you sell it Kelly.
Yeah.
Right. So when the customer's coming in, you show them NADA.
Oh,
Right.
And I don't remember if it was a listener or one of the guys at the table here, but like, so I made a call to Haggerty Insurance.
Mm-hmm.
And so compared to everybody else, like if you try to insure a bunch of vintage bikes, like that CB350 I got is really nice. And like, if I fucked it up, I wanted to be able to like fix it, you know?
Right.
So like my one insurance company is like, well, he goes, I can give you liability, whatever. Cause he goes, right now, like the most I can give you is like $400 to replace it.
That's right.
And I was like, fuck, well, that's not going to help me. Cause this thing's mint.
And what year is it?
73. It's the last year of the CB350.
Right.
And, so I called my insurance guy and he was like, let's call Haggerty.
Right. There you go.
For $19 a month, Haggerty was like, how much is it worth to you?
Exactly.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. They asked me that first, and then the $19 a month came out of it.
Yep.
But I told them $3,000.
Right.
I want $3,000. You know,
That's
if I crashed
exactly
the bike,
right.
I want $3,000. And they were like,
Right.
yep, no problem, $19 a month.
It's stated value insurance.
Yeah,
So
right.
stated value insurance is available for most insurance underwriters. Fuck, if you call Progressive, if you call Geico, if you call the little stupid General, you call the Lizard, and you just tell them you want stated value vehicle insurance, they'll sell it to you.
They wouldn't for me.
They will.
On a vintage bike, they won't.
They will.
Well, okay,
but,
maybe.
But you got to talk to something other than the guy who's only using your telephone as a way for him to punch the numbers into the computer. But if you've got a person who's an actual vendor, an agent, then they'll make that happen. And they will make it happen. We've had friends of the shop that were agents that were like, yeah, I'll insure your 1937 Herkimer Battle Jitney. I don't give a fuck. Right?
I know Hofford ended up getting most of all those vehicles because he was having trouble getting insurance on some of that stuff.
Yep.
So
And I've used Haggerty on a lot of my vehicles. I mean, honestly, I should be a fucking poster child. I don't want to just sit there and stroke Haggerty's dick and send
me
him a bunch
neither,
of,
but it was,
and they pony up for some sponsorship.
But I was
we'll change our
impressed.
tune.
I was impressed with the rate for what they offer for a vintage bike.
Oh yeah,
Like, you're not gonna do well at Haggerty with
Right.
your fucking 2020 fucking Hayabusa.
Right.
You know, but if you have an old bike that's valued at nothing,
Haggerty will protect your bike on the track.
yeah.
Enough fucking said.
Right.
Yeah, enough said. Because I can tell you Progressive won't. So,
right.
yeah. So anyway, that was Jerry Minkowski. That's your deal, Jerry. Sell the motherfucker at KBB, buy it at NADA. That's how it works. Use their rules against them, right? That's totally fair.
But if it's Mid-Ohio, it's the Wild West, and you're
Yes.
pretty much...
Yeah. Well, and again, Mid-Ohio, ask for the world on Thursday.
Yep.
Oh, true.
And then the price is flexible.
Go
the closer
KBB on Thursday. Go to NADA on fucking Sunday.
On Sunday, yeah.
KBB times
Marketplace on Sunday.
2. Right, Marketplace on Sunday.
Hey, speaking of Mid-Ohio,
Yeah.
all the different groups and stuff like that. I think the last couple of years with COVID, people kind of held off bringing their shit. And last year, nobody was really sure if it was happening or if it, remember, it was kind of up in the air. Man, people are bringing shit this year. There's like a lot of bikes coming, I think, for sale.
Who in our group is going to have a campsite? Me. Okay. All right. Cool. So you bought a campsite.
I bought a campsite.
You bought a campsite. Perfect.
I plan on it. I mean, I'm just debating on whether I want to spend all the money for the RV or not.
We are, those of us here present today have all been covered under media credentials. So don't worry about the price of admission. Okay? I took care of that. So we're good.
Sweet.
Merci.
Boku. Buckets. Mercy buckets.
We'll talk details later.
We'll talk details later. But the point, and we have a swap meet space. So we're covered for those kind of logistics as well for getting in.
Takeoff parts.
Well, for getting in early on Thursday morning, right? So getting in early on Thursday morning. So we'll
Getting naked.
we'll logisticize because we've got misfits coming in Wednesday night, and we've got misfits coming in bloody early on Thursday, kind of thing, you know. So I think that if we have some, we have some early element from Cleveland Moto getting down there, and then the rest of us can trot down there because somebody else will stick their, flag in the dirt.
Ooh, I'm going to try to find some media tape so we can get like a big...
We got yelled at for our caution tape last year,
but
Sleepy.
media tape is going to work.
I have crime scene tape.
I brought crime scene tape.
that's what we did.
Yeah.
I bought crime scene tape last year specifically for the idea, but I can tell you that the staff of the Mid-Ohio Sports Car course basically said, it's a great idea. We wish we thought of it, but you can't do that. You cannot quarantine that much real estate.
But the media one, actually, we do have the credentials. So it's,
We had the look.
But what you can do.
Okay.
But there are things you can
It's
do.
gray area.
And we don't need to go
I'm
into
just going to make it very clear. We had every credential that we needed last year.
You know what we didn't
last
bring?
time.
Yellow vests. I have yellow vests.
We had yellow vests last time. We were wearing yellow vests last time.
Is that
Remember
when
we
the
put
guy
on the
came-
yellow vests.
Oh, maybe we did.
We had on yellow vests.
Yeah.
We were wearing our neon yellow vests.
You got to bring the school bus back.
No, I
And-
don't.
and- and-
school bus.
and buy one
No.
and tell the guy you want it by the weekend.
Oh yeah. I'll call the house a school bus
No, you know what we need to do?
Yeah.
So we need to take one of your
just by the weekend.
one of your trailers,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Media tape, and
Yeah.
then get a fake satellite dish on the top.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Now they won't
my
fuck with anything. Now we're fucking
That's our remote feed,
SCR TV, or
and
they
we
go-
have to be on the hilltop.
Yeah, right.
No. Tell him it's Scola.
Scola, yeah, that whatever that is.
Whoever is there Wednesday night,
That's your
load them up with tents.
Yeah.
Here's 5 tents.
Right.
Put up the tents. Put them on as many sites as you want.
Yeah,
You're
build
good.
them.
We'll get into that, but here's what I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna say these words out loud and clear so everyone understands. It is 100% absolutely illegal to camp in the campsite on Wednesday night. Done. I said it. Done.
That's all we're going to
Let
say.
nobody fucking say I said anything else than that. Let it not be said
Right.
Here,
that
here.
I was not telling people that it is absolutely, completely not appreciated. It will not be allowed. You will be kicked out on your ass if you try to camp in there Wednesday night. Because I can tell you 100%, I've checked twice and talked to people. Them's the fucking rules. All right? So now the trick is how early can we get there Thursday? All right, so...
At 12:01 a.m.
12:01, yeah.
Technically Thursday.
You know when somebody's a podcast listener or a Patreon supporter and their handle is corn poop cupcake? Wow. I can't make it through it. I've tried several times to read it. I can't read it without laughing. Corn poop
Cupcake.
cake. It's really hard to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of alliteration.
Tongue twister.
It is. And which you can't, like even saying tongue twister
You're tongue twisting in poop.
in corn poop cupcake.
the
Would
greatest-
that be a wastewater worker of some type?
I think it might be GSG's alter ego.
One of the greatest little cartoons I saw circling
We have
around.
num-nums that you have to scoop out of the influent. And they're just like a ball of bacon grease impregnated with corn and some lettuce and Tomato
Dude,
seeds.
the greatest
Just
cartoon.
num-nums,
You'll
there's
never
num-nums.
get paid enough.
There's 2 corns, and they're in the living room.
Yeah.
And the door flips open, and there's a corn that looks all beat up and dirty.
Yeah.
And they're like, Jimmy, we saw you get eaten. He's like, I don't want to talk about it. Just show me the shower.
Hey, dudes. First off, thank you for having such a great show. I do have some questions. I'll try to be quick. I learned how to ride motorcycles on a dual sport, and I fell in love with the platform. My question is, should I get the KLR 650, DR 650, or the XR 650L? In a perfect world, I'd get all 3. But right now, I ask the dark liquor gods for the answer or guidance. I'm leaning towards KLR, but I'm also 6'4" and about 260 pounds. So the DR and the XR feel like I'm going to just crush the bike. Anything you guys can help answer would be perfect. Second question, what's your order from White Castle? I want to bring some by sometime.
Nice.
I'm a Cleveland Heights native, currently living in Jaga County. Thank you all for giving us such great content, and thank you for the comedic relief in strange times. Shout out to Scooter. Thanks again. So anyway, here's the thing.
Let's go to number 2.
Yeah. Let's start with number 2.
Yeah, right.
White Castle.
Yeah.
Suitcase.
What's our order? Yeah, freaking crave case. Of course, you kidding me? Get a crave case, onions, load them up, man. Yeah. And do half jalapenos and half regulars. Yeah. Actually, a crave case of cheeses and a crave case of jalapenos is perfect. Yeah. And none of us will ever leave the bathroom. You've not had a shit unless you've had. I was just going to say a White Castle shit, but I'm going to modify that. And I'm going to say Rolling Rock or Little Kings, anything out of a green bottle. Anything out of a green bottle.
Genesee Cream Ale.
Genesee Cream Ale.
Oh,
Anything out of a green bottle.
Better than Rolling
Mickey's
Rock.
largemouth, wide mouth.
Mickey's would be good.
Oh, Mickey's.
Dude, anything again, my survey, everything you've named all taste the same. Those beverages, every single one of those beverages, all taste the
Who
same.
remembers Cool Colt?
Cool Colt, of
It
course.
was the menthol
It
flavored
was a menthol
malt liquor.
I don't know that one.
You don't? It was like drinking a Newport. Yeah.
Oh shit.
Or licking an ashtray after you sip the beer.
Cool Colt, man. Cool Colt. Yeah. 95% of the time, it works all the time.
yeah.
But here's,
Cigarette beer bottle.
but here's the thing. If you drink, let's just say 3 of those beers,
Yeah.
because you're not trying to win.
No.
It's just a nightcap. You drink 3 of those beers, and I'd say eat 8 of those sliders. It's about a normal serving size.
That's a lot, I think.
You think?
I don't know.
Let's for
I'll
3
do
beers,
like 4 or 5.
4 or 5.
It depends on if you have onion petals with them and red pop.
Oh, now hold on. I never ever do the onion petals because that is seriously.
That'll just
No,
you might not make it home.
The onion petals, you got to buy a new car.
You're going to be planking out by the time you get in your driveway.
I learned one time, they were like, you should get onion petals. And I'm like, I've never had anything at White Castle other than straight head cheeseburger, right? And they're like, no, you got to get the onion petals. They're great. I was like, oh,
You
whatever. I'll
put a
get the
couple
onion
right on
petals.
your burger. They're delicious.
Okay. I ate 1 serving size of onion petals and made it out of the White Castle parking lot. Did a hot 360 or a hot 180, got back into the White Castle parking lot, ran up and pulled the door, but it was locked because it's after 2 a.m. I shat behind the dumpster. I'll never have
Because of the onion pepper.
Did you scooch across the ground and wipe your butt?
No, I lost a sock, but
Oh, at least it wasn't
I
your
came
happy
away
sock.
with 1 sock.
That was your sad sock.
Yeah, that was. But that's the thing is, like, there's something about onion petals. They don't have to make it through your digestive system. They just trigger. Like, they trigger.
That's those fermentable
It triggers your body saying, we need this out of our system now.
beer and onion petals just start to ferment and percolate
Christ,
and build up pressure.
No, it's not like, and that's one of those things you're like, okay, the hot pepper, the 1 chip challenge or whatever the fuck it is. Chemically speaking, these things are poison anyway. You shouldn't eat them. This is crowd control. But a White Castle crave case is designed to be et.
Yeah.
Sure.
But you know what? I bet
Mickey's is designed to be drunk.
But I bet you it's kind of like, well, the same thing with like Mentos and soda.
Yeah,
Right? So it's kind of like
Yeah,
that.
chemical
It's got the
reaction.
chemical reaction. So that's why
It
it's
will
just
liquefy
foam.
your insides.
I said, man,
You're
there's no
spackling
way.
the bowl in that night.
And the
Just
problem
me.
is, 4 o'clock in the morning, you're like, oh man, remember like at 9 o'clock somebody brought a crave case over here?
Yeah,
I bet you
yeah.
there's some of that still around. And you're like, oh yeah, we found some over here. That's
of them
great.
over there.
There's some. Let's go ahead.
My
dive
story
down.
was I had some leftovers in a bag. I tossed them in the fridge.
Yeah.
Next morning, I need a little hangover medicine. I'm like, well, a little bit of hair of the dog that bit me.
Right.
So I heated up a couple, and a fucking cockroach comes crawling out of the bag as I'm eating. I'm like, oh.
A nuclear-fied cockroach.
Yeah.
He'd been radiated.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you still finished the burger. didn't you?
Well, I finished the one I was already eating.
Throwing it away.
See, your mistake was
So,
heating them
but
up. Just eat them cold.
Here's the punchline.
Jeez.
I called them up and complained, and they said, no problem. We'll send you a coupon for a 20-pack. And like a month later,
No
I cashed it
questions
in at the
asked.
same place.
Yeah. We have no pride. No pride.
Filthy.
All right. So here's the question.
Yeah.
Keep on coming back.
Yeah.
And goddamn worst motorcycle podcast.
We
ever.
know why you're calling. You just want free.
Jeez. Don't eat the Mentos.
6'4" and 260 pounds. Like this is something we all can we can hang out with those numbers. So it's between us those numbers. Those numbers are an overall polling of our room. Okay, I have owned all three of these motorcycles.
I have not.
And you can go buy a goddamn KLR 650 right now, brand new. They reintroduced it for $6,600 for out the door, solid $1,500 less than
no
a Vespa.
carburetor.
$300.
It is fuel injected now.
Yeah.
Fuel injected. I might just go buy one for that.
Fort 9 did a video about the new one. He said that it's come back from the sunset and it has so they did refine a few things and made it actually a little bit of a better bike.
I didn't think it was a bad bike.
But no,
I
never.
think, and I think by far they've sold way more of those. Well, maybe not way more, but it certainly has to be the number one seller out of the three.
those
So, and that's exactly right. So having ridden all of them, I do combine.
I have the KLR. I've always wanted the Honda kind of.
Yeah.
But I've never actually even ridden the Honda. But
But do you remember?
I think it's fun. I think the Honda's a little more fun, but I think it loses it on the highway at all. And
I don't know, dude. Do you remember when we were in the Blue Ridge Mountains and that dude was on the XL 650?
Yeah.
He fucking flew through the fucking turns.
again, but he wasn't going 80 mile an hour on the highway.
No, that's true.
And he had 17s on, I suppose.
Yeah, he had. No, he didn't. Did
I
he?
don't know.
Oh, did he have big wheels on?
He had big wheels, but he had he had
wasn't
road
Nobbies.
tires. It wasn't
Yeah, right,
Nobbies.
right.
Yeah,
So what about one of the Triumph Tigers?
Well, I've noticed a trend in this guy's options. And if I dare be so presumptuous, the reason there's no Triumph Tiger listed is because the Triumph Tiger costs twice
Price. Yeah.
what any of these bikes cost in any year it's ever been made. So if you take the oldest buyable Triumph Tiger, which would be one of the old triple 900s,
Oh, you can get those for $3,000.
you could buy for $3,000. But the same year XL, DR, or KLR is going to be about $900. Fair money. Go ahead.
I might call shenanigans on that.
Okay,
because
you might have to go up to $1,400.
If you can find any one of those bikes
Yeah.
for $900,
And
call me.
I
Let me
forgot
know.
that I'm not applying the 2022 shift differential.
Yeah, because
Right.
I'd buy any one of those
Right.
bikes any day of the week
Sure.
for $900.
So
with a
let's
ton.
let's maybe say let's say 1,600 in the
Yeah.
spirit of inflation.
Yeah.
Right. But because I have bought no shortage of KLR 650s for $800 to $1,200.
You have a special.
I have a knack, right?
Yeah.
But here's what I can tell you as of like 6 months ago.
Yep.
The DR 650 is happier to get rowdy than the KLR or the XL. Okay? The XR 650L. The XR 650L is by far the most
Dirt worthy.
it's the most unhurried. It's the most unrowdy of the bunch, but it is by far the most dirt worthy. So like it is the one where the gearing and the cam, the timing and everything of that thing is just designed to just grab dirt and move it out of the way.
Well, like Honda's, I mean, the camming, like when
Yeah.
you ride a Honda,
Yeah.
any gear,
Yeah.
you never get lurch.
No.
Like
No.
you can be in
Yeah,
first, you
right.
can be in third, it doesn't matter. You can
Yeah.
take fifth all the way down to 20 mile an hour.
It's fucking weird.
Roll on it and roll out.
Right.
When you're on the Kawasaki's cams are lumpy.
Yep.
And if you lug a gear, it goes. It's gonna
hammers
buck
you.
on
Yeah,
you.
it hammers you.
You always have to keep it a little bit in the rev.
So I guess I would say Kawasaki 80% street, 20% dirt.
I mean, my Kawasaki's been almost 100% street.
Yep.
and it's actually been pretty good at that.
Very good at that.
No,
I've done a little bit of dirt
99.5.
riding, and it was fine
Right.
doing fire roads and hill climbs and stuff like that. But
I would-
a real hill climb on that is like first gear flogged.
Yep.
You would really, if you were going to ride it off road, you'd want to try to lighten it up somehow and maybe gear it down.
Yep. And I would say that the DR comes in second place at a solid 60 street 40 dirt. And I would say that the XR650L comes in third place from a street standpoint of being probably 50-50. And because I have ridden
Videos that I've watched of DR650s have been kind of impressive. Guys flying down dirt roads and just like standing it up.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like,
So my buddy Mike is the king of the DR650. He's had the thing forever. And I think one of the things though that you got to take into consideration is that, like, if you depending on what style that you ride, you can set the bikes up for that.
Yes, you can.
So like he's a big gravel dude, so he like lowered the forks. He did some other stuff. Or what I can't.
And he's 5'3".
Yeah, he's a short dude, but I'm saying, but he like he specifically did things to make it a better gravel bike,
Right.
and it totally took it, and it was great. Like he loved it.
I made the
Loves it. He
mistake
still
of
has it.
trying to ride. I had an XR650L, and I made the mistake of trying to ride it to Cincinnati. And I can tell you that I had done Alaska 2 years previously on a KLR, and the Alaska KLR was not a fucking problem.
Right.
No, and at no point was I ever like, well, this is a bad fucking decision. You get to 85 miles an hour and the front wheel starts doing this, and you just slow the fuck down. You don't need a speed limiter, right? But the Honda, the Limited, when I got on that XR650 to Cincinnati, by the time I got to Columbus, I was like, I need an oil change. It's just because that bike is spinning at a higher RPM to do those speeds that it's uncomfortable. But what it does so good about the dirt is that it has the RPM right where you want it to be. So the power band is so fucking good for the dirt. And it also has that certain completely unfuckwithableness. Like, the joke of, you can kick a KLR 650 open and it's only going to cost you, like, seriously, it's going to cost you maybe, if it lands the wrong way, it may cost you a lever. But it's going to cost you nothing else. Even the mirrors are somewhat indestructible. Whereas the Honda, you could drop it out of the back of the trailer. You could drop it out the back of the pickup truck, and it's just going to fucking bounce. So, I guess I would say that if you're going to be doing more freeway, my vote goes KLR.
Especially with the fuel injection, like that's a big.
Oh God, if you're spending today's money, that KLR 650 fuel injected brand new bike right now is a sore dick deal.
Right.
Well,
that's what the whole thing that Fort 9 did was like, is this the last affordable motorcycle?
Yeah.
And then he was like, people made fun of them for not changing it for 20 years.
Right.
But if you think about it, they had 20 years to figure out everything that was wrong with that bike and then fixed a few things with this new generation.
Yeah.
And then now it's like they're going to ride it into the sunset.
So many people knew everything there was to know about a KLR 650. I had a customer come in here and fucking argue with me about the last generation, about he insisted that we change his doohickey. And I'm like, they fixed that.
Yeah.
It's no longer a thing that you can do. I know you've heard the word so many times, but your KLR does not require that.
Right.
They addressed that. They had 30 years to think about that, and they fucking fixed it. Now, it took them 30 years to fix it.
One of the interesting things that, I was doing a little homework on articles, and one of the articles I read was 10 best bikes by Cycle World, but they're not, it's 10 different categories, and they do it every year and everything. But interestingly enough, their best street bike was the CRF 300L. I'm like, I don't know how they came up with best lightweight street bike.
Very weird marketing.
Yeah.
That's they had to write a check to Honda somewhere,
So,
and that was the check they wrote.
I don't know.
Best lightweight street bike, the CRF 300L.
Yeah.
Is that the rally thing or what is
Not the
it?
rally, just the plain CRF 300L.
Huh.
I'm telling you, that is that.
Come on, throw it up here.
That right there is.
They didn't say a CBR 300 or the Ninja 300.
There is no excuse for that statement other than Cycle World owed Honda placement. Because
they cited the suspension. It's got the same motor as a CBR 300. It's taller, it's just, they liked it better.
all of those things are absolutely true, except for the fact that it's not a street bike.
Nope.
It is a dirt bike or a trail bike with a headlight, a taillight, and turn signals.
Right.
Right.
I bet you though, for commuting though, like, you know, if it's you're going to commute all the way through most of the year and you don't have far to go, it's not a bad commuting bike.
And by that argument, rollerblades are the best shoes ever
Yeah. They move.
because they go places, right? I mean,
No, but I'm saying like,
Yeah.
you know, like it's got plastic, so you don't care too much
but
about
there's
the
so many
rain
other
and the
options to do
bullshit
that.
and all the other stuff. Like, it's not a terrible commuting bike. But yeah, it's not. I wouldn't call it a street bike.
It's not ideal for that.
so by that definition of the best lightweight street bike, so the Ninja 400 isn't better than this. Because I would argue that the Ninja 400 is like 17 and a half times better than this
Or-
at being a street bike.
Or what is it, the KLR 300 or whatever that
The
fucking
KLR
thing
300 is very KLX
Because
300 is
that
very
has
good.
storage and stuff.
They're both. I mean, look, a KLX 300 and this CRF 300 are basically the same application, the same tool for the job, but neither of them is a street bike.
They
They're just not.
they crowned the Pan America the best adventure bike,
Mm-hmm.
but never mentioned the T10 or the Africa Twin. They're like left them out of that category. I'm like, but they did say, but it is impressive that it has the rider aids and everything,
Yeah,
including
yeah.
a 2-inch lowering. Like it'll lower itself whenever you come to a
Well,
stop.
that's the ES version. And here's the thing, man. If you look back when they first came out, a lot of the dealers weren't not educated
Yeah.
on which bikes were what. So they promised some guys that it would have the ES suspension, and they paid for it, and then they didn't get it on their bikes.
Yeah.
It was fucking
Just so
crazy.
you know, I'm not telling you. See what that says right there? Best lightweight street
Yeah, best
3002.
lightweight street bike. I'm not even like I'm not doubting what you're saying. I'm just saying, in case you didn't listen to the podcast episode that we did about 300 episodes ago, where I said that Cycle
The
World-
Nicest People Motor Company has always been good at making its off-road only models easy to hop on and get used to, but the CRF 300L comfort goes beyond that, bringing the easygoing attitude to both pavement and mild dirt riding. Considering the size of the fuel-injected liquid-cooled dual overhead cam 4-stroke single-cylinder 286cc motor, and the intended segment of the bike is low to mid-range torque and blah blah blah. It's toned for low to mid-range torque. Yeah, we've heard that one before.
bold new
This
graphics.
makes stop and go city riding less of a hassle, and accelerating out of corners on twisty roads is fairly easy as long as you're in the correct gear. Thankfully, the 6-speed transmission is more than willing to shift, and it's complemented by a nearly effortless clutch cable pull.
Wait a minute, the transmission shifts?
You're kidding me.
Fuck, that's
Effortlessly.
insane.
That's unique.
Effortlessly. So that's what they're saying about it.
and yet the Vespa.
But they don't compare it to anything else. They just talk about it, but they don't mention anything else.
So the Vespa GTS has storage everywhere, ABS, traction control,
Phone connectivity.
and 6 more horsepower, and double the warranty than that Honda CRF.
Price point though,
I don't know.
Honda CRF I think is like $5,200.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but guess what? I bet you that.
Yeah, 5249. Right
The
on.
CRF is not going to be fun on the freeway, and the
yeah.
Vespa's fucking awesome.
Well,
Yeah,
but,
but the
what
point-
lightweight bike, what 300, 350cc bike is going to be super happy on the
the
street?
GTS.
The GTS, super, yes, it would.
The GTS is
yeah.
It would.
up to 85 miles per hour. It's like, here
It
we go.
would. It would.
And the Ninja 400, honestly. You know?
But is that 2021 or 2022?
2021. Ninja, yeah. And the Ninja's double the horsepower.
Unkillable motor. The motor is unkillable.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can straight up track day it any day you want. And it's $200 less than the Honda CRF.
And while we're talking about 400s,
Yeah.
the other article I read
Yeah.
was about a company, Chinese company, trying to break into the international market, has registered some patents and everything, called Cove. I don't know if you've heard of it.
We know Cove. Yep.
Kove.
Yep.
But one of the things that they're talking about, or they're striving to bring to market, is a 400cc inline 4-cylinder that revs to 16,000
16,000 RPMs.
RPMs.
Yep. 16,000.
Ooh, daddy like.
Yeah, yeah.
But this company is making its bread and butter off of not a clone, but almost.
Not a clone.
They have a 321F, which is almost exactly like the Yamaha
It's the R3.
R3 or the MT-03.
Right.
It's not quite the same, but it's the same bore and stroke and everything like that, but just like enough different that they can't call it.
I think CF Moto is doing that too. I noticed State 8 carries CF Moto now. Or no, sorry, Johnny K's.
Yeah.
Well, funny enough, that CF Moto, which is making KTM, but then also making its own brand, is getting punked by these guys. They're making a clone of the CF Moto 800cc.
Yep.
Really?
Absolutely.
Because the CF Moto now has a Grom clone.
Yes, they do.
And stuff like that. So that was interesting to see.
Oh, it's fucking crazy. Like, in case you thought that Kentucky was famous for fucking its history, you have not met the Chinese motorcycle industry.
Yeah, right.
Where you're like, oh, okay, well, wait a second. That looks an awful lot like an SYM motor. Oh shit, that looks like an awful lot like a QJ motor.
Let's put it this way. If I buy one, I also have the rights to replicate it and mass produce it.
Yes, exactly.
But now, are we entering the age of like leveled clones? Like, okay, well, the CF Moto clone is fucking good, but if you get the Cove clone,
well, yeah,
not so
I mean,
good.
we've already been there. I mean, you can talk about like what's better, a Piranha motor, a Pitster motor, an SSR motor. Which one of those clone motors do you want?
I'm sorry, which CRF 50 clone would you like today?
Right.
Which one would you like? Or which Grom clone would you like today?
Well, you know, those ones, some of them, the Kickstarter breaks off and there's this, that, you know what I mean? Like,
absolutely. Yeah, I believe me, we've been playing that game so long with here in this shop where we have people every single day coming in and being like, "Will you work on my Ice Bear?" No. Well, it's a Yamaha motor. No, it isn't. It's a Honda motor. Not fucking close. It's a Yamasaki motor. Could be.
Yeah.
But we're not going to work on it. Well, why not? Because it's a fucking Ice Bear, dude.
Dude, that's the greatest. I fucking laugh so hard when I see those. There literally is a company called Yamasaki.
I know.
It's
I've been in their fucking booth, dude. Yeah.
Hiki?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been in their booth, but not. I mean, I definitely don't want to get kooky with this, but so who did their homework and looked up an idea or article? All right.
I did.
Oscar, we're gonna start with you. You're to my immediate left.
well, we started with me, but now we can.
Well, you did. Yeah, we did. Yeah, we started with you. All right. So while we're letting Oscar get his shit together, I'll be happy to bring it up on any of the viewing devices if you need it.
It's
Of course you did.
Steve, don't you see the commercial where they say you don't need to print the
Verge
internet?
TS.
Okay.
Like it's the electric bike with the. So allegedly they're
I love a good news story starts with allegedly.
right because they're allegedly supposed to start this year. Small batch production.
And it looks extraordinarily a lot like a Sondor, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Right.
So wait, that's my story.
Right. Well, but hold on. But I mean, in the interest of fair play, let Oscar tell us about the Verge.
Well, they're banking on the rear hub.
Design, which you could shoot a dead cat through the middle of that rear hub.
So for the listeners, this is like a Tron.
Yeah, it's like a Tron light cycle.
Right. Kind of a thing.
The Jesse James did one of these using the bearing off of a Chinook helicopter.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So their claims are pretty bonkers. They're comparing this to like a Bugatti and some other weird shit. It was like, oh my god, the stats are going to be amazing, which is still vaporware at this point. But
Yep.
but it was kind of interesting that they're talking about potentially making a small batch this year.
Yeah.
But they said that a couple years ago with COVID and the whole thing. So
top speed of 120 miles an hour,
Yep.
0 to 60 in under 4 seconds.
Yep.
Right. Got big orange cables to signify expensiveness.
Right.
On the back.
But what are they going to? A little. That's not like a motor mounted.
It's
there.
a hub motor. It is.
Right, the motor
that what
is
it is?
in the hub, so
Oh,
that's
okay,
the whole
okay.
thing, right?
So if you ever,
I see what you did there.
if you ever cut apart a zero motor, the idea behind the zero motor is it's basically a laminar design. So there's all these plates, and each one of those thin plates equals strength, right? So both lateral strength, but rotational strength as well. So on this idea, you can see they're kind of laying into the same thing, but not so many. No, seriously, like the zero motor is like 36 plates. Like in a zero motor is like 36 plates, and that's how it gets so much strength and how it doesn't come apart. The magnets,
But
can't
also
move.
too, laminated metal
Right.
forms better magnetic fields and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
That's why when you have a magneto, it's laminated.
Right.
And the magnets aren't bonded to the rotor and stator. The magnets are locked into the rotor and stator because the laminated discs each have a slot and the magnets go into them.
And since it's hollow,
Right.
the cooling is on the inside of the whole thing. So that's another benefit.
It's
of
brilliant.
Yeah.
Now,
That's a
what
cool
might
concept.
be a problem with this is anybody who's fans of the term unsprung weight. So if you like using big fucking words like unsprung weight, a usual motorcycle back wheel assembly, you know, when people want to go super fast on motorcycles, they make their back wheels out of carbon fiber, and they make their brake rotors out of carbon fiber, and they make their calipers out of angel fucking wings. All the parts that go bouncy, 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 right, under the bike have to be as light as possible, because the heavier those are, the worse they perform. And this motor is going to be a heavy part of the bike.
I bet you changing tires are going to be fucking awesome too.
Yeah, boy, putting that bitch in your tire machine. Yeah, okay, fair enough on that one. Yeah.
And it's
yeah.
supposed to be like 737 pounds of feet torque.
Yeah, I did read
allegedly.
that. Yeah, It's, and that's the new, and we're going to talk, there is a new way that we're measuring torque. So this motorcycle went from 88 foot-pounds of torque to 400 foot-pounds of torque based on the new measuring system.
Oh.
Yeah, so I was wondering how that little Vespa we all rode around, that Vespa scooter, the Vespa Electrica, I was wondering how that made 400 foot-pounds of torque. I was like, no fucking way,
Yeah.
dude. Yeah, but then I realized that there's this whole new math thing where you're measuring the outside of the wheel and multiplying that times the...
So this is supposed to be
Inch
like,
pounds, not foot pounds or something.
right. So it's supposed to be like 25 to 30 grand.
25 to 30,000 heroes.
Yes.
Heroes.
And you can start saving your spot for $100.
For $100.
Because I went on the actually trying to do the
Nice.
buy now ish.
And it's got Brembos on it, so you know
Eventually,
it's worth
yeah.
money, right?
Yeah.
It is
It's
truly...
a Finnish company though, so
It's-
they're brand new
Oh, yeah.
company. Yeah.
It is. Its party piece, though, is that rear hub.
And that's the whole.
That's
selling
it.
point
If you
of
just
it.
had lights that shined on that,
that
you'd
would
be
have been
fine.
a light cycle.
That's it. You know, the entire paint job could just be arrows that say, look at the back wheel. And you'd be cool. That's a good news story, dude. I appreciate that. All right, Sleepy, you're up, buddy.
So I found a thing that I can't believe none of us have done yet.
I can't believe it's not butter.
It's called the Vintage 1000. And it's a 1,000-mile race, and all the bikes have to be pre-1981, and it's over 5 days, and it's off-road, on-road combination, kind of BDR type thing. And
Sounds like the Dirtbag 500.
yeah, except for
All right.
it's the Vintage 1000. And then they're going to start adding classes. So recently, Speed Deluxe expanded the series to include a half-distance Vintage 500 race, which is pre-1968 bikes, and a 1000 race, which is pre-1981.
Okay.
So
All right.
that's, yeah, it's kind of cool, I think. But considering that, you know, a lot
Where
of us
would
are-
one go to start or finish this race?
it looks like it started in Arizona this last year.
Oh, okay.
Or this year.
Sedona?
Not sure.
I think it's in.
Well, the guy that created it from Tennessee.
Okay.
But
All
it
right.
says that these guys, as we stood around the shop at Holland Vans the night before day one of the Arizona Vintage 1000 in late May. So there might be a couple across the country.
Yeah, they're like running through Maggie Valley and shit. You know, they're all over the place. And it looks like there's a sizable amount of off-roadiness. There's some fucking baby head gravel and shit they're going through.
Right.
That looks frightening.
That's pretty cool.
So,
Big
so
baby.
clearly you wouldn't want to do this on your 77 Sporty.
No, but the thing is, too, is that you have to self-support. So all your camping gear, all your tools, everything
I
has to
like
be on
that.
your bike.
Yeah. Look at this poor Elsinore over here. This Elsinore is already overweight and there's nobody on it.
Yeah.
You can hear the side stand
It's doing
crying for
wheelies.
mercy.
It's
Yeah.
like it just does wheelies.
Yeah, good for them. This is cool, man. I give them credit. That is some fucking awesome. That doing God's work right there.
Yeah.
So 1,000 pounds, right on. 1,000 miles, I should say.
Yeah.
1,000 miles.
So
That's
I'm thinking-
badass.
In 5 days, 200 miles a day.
Yeah. Off-road, though, that's
well,
that
yeah,
can be...
Yeah.
I have nothing but respect and admiration for this entire thing.
So I thought about it, and if I can find the right bike at Mid-Ohio, pre-81, I'll try to get one.
Nice.
Why don't you just ride your KE 100?
I was gonna say.
That's what I was
Because it's
thinking.
going to be too
bitch.
nice when I'm done
What
with
year's
it.
your SP?
85.
Oh, it's too
4
new.
years too new.
Wait a couple years.
Wait 5 years
Yeah.
for it. Yeah.
I think the SP still needs to heal up a little bit from the North Carolina ride.
Really?
But it was at full throttle for like 410 miles So
Really?
yeah.
Holy shit.
And at about 380, it gained 5 horsepower. So I'm really concerned about that a little bit.
Yeah.
And started smoking.
Yeah, a little bit. Just a little bit.
I'm wondering what year was the first year of the Honda XL350?
Ooh.
Because that's a pretty fucking stout bike.
I want to say like 74, 75.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. And I mean,
That would be a good bike for
that's
that trip.
one of those bikes. And then it went to the XR. And I wonder if XR started a little too late. 1983, a little too new.
Yeah, 2 years.
So the XR350 is one of my all-time favorites for just does any goddamn thing. But the XL350 is not far behind it.
Well, my brother's XL350R was like, that was a really good bike. And you don't find there were very
super
few
rare.
of them made,
Yeah.
but it ripped for
Yeah.
a 350.
Yeah, it really did. And
It was a twin carb 350.
but that's
Single
also
cylinder.
and that's also too late because that's 84.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's 84. And that was a 2-year only bike, and it was fucking frightening with that twin carb setup. That thing made
How do you
bitchin'
sync
power.
twin carbs to a
on
single?
one cylinder.
That's what I'm saying. How do you?
Gazinda, gazouda. So very much like, the dual imports, the dual intakes and the dual exhausts,
Yeah.
each intake's got its own carb.
Okay.
But the one carb was a dummy carb.
Dummy carb.
So only the right carb had a pilot circuit and everything in it. The left carb just has a main jet.
It was very much like the
okay.
Yamaha. So when you look at the Yamaha XT350,
Yeah.
those two people were cheating out of each other's notebooks.
Okay.
Yeah. And as much as like the Yamaha, and that's another one, the XT350, but I don't think it's old enough for this event. So, but again, I think that doing an XL350, that's a pretty good choice for
And
that.
then, like, if you go with the older ones, I mean, there's big bore kits. I mean, you can
God,
do it.
yeah.
Everything is available for an XL350.
Sure. Yeah, I totally agree. And I just, there was nothing wrong with an SL350 other than the fact the motor was so fucking heavy.
I think that was one of the bikes the bike that the guy has the motor on the table.
I
there.
think you're right.
I think that's an SL350.
Yeah, I think that is an
read some of
SL. Right. Yeah, I think you're right. I think the motor that's literally being rebuilt on a table is an SL. Yeah, there it is right there. Yeah, there's an SL350 right there. And that's the picture before the motor came out of it.
Pulled the motor out, but but it wasn't. There was nothing wrong with the motor.
Yeah.
He was trying to diagnose a problem, and they're saying when you think it's a carb, check the ignition.
That's right. That's exactly right. Before you
pretty
pull the
cool.
carb, check the ignition.
I say pull the
I
carb.
like how some of the guys were like, fuck it. And they're like using a CB450 or
Yeah.
a fucking BMW, just normal street bike.
Hey,
They're
look.
like, fuck it.
I have been there.
CB450s were ran in the Baja 500 many times.
Yeah.
Yeah. If the bike's too heavy, slow down a little bit.
Yeah. Or take some shit off of
Right.
it.
The bike's too heavy, just slow down a little bit. Or fucking go for it.
Monster knobbies
Desert-
on a
right.
big bike.
Desert sled style, just go for it. So that's pretty badass. I love that, dude. Good. Vintage 1000. Kick ass. All right, Chris, you ready?
I'm ready.
He wrote his down in cuneiform.
what did he do?
Chiseled it on a stone tablet.
You don't need to print the internet, Chris.
What you got, Chris?
But I'm going to
www.
forget it if I don't. So in today's news, there's a death of somebody that we all know. By the name is Sonny Barger.
We know Sonny, yeah.
So he passed away.
He did.
And there's a couple of things that I thought were interesting about when he passed away. And that he's published 2 novels,
Right.
which I would not have expected, and authored 6 other books.
Yep.
Which is pretty interesting. In 1988, they said that he moved from Oakland, California, to suburban Phoenix and dropped his official duties in the Hells Angels, but remained rank and file member.
Right.
He ran a motorcycle repair shop and mellowed in the suburban life, doing yoga.
Mellowed into suburban lifestyles, yeah.
Doing yoga, continued to lift weights, a pastime he acquired in prison.
Of course.
Yeah. He kept riding the open road, thousands of miles a year, eventually professing a preference for
Japanese motorcycles.
Hondas
Yep.
and BMWs.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, in an interview.
To the Angels traditional Harley choppers. So I thought it was interesting that he said, yeah, I like the Hondas.
Well, he said that there was an interview I saw somewhere when he was talking, and he said that, no, not at all, but I'm agreeing with you. He says that one of the mistakes they made was adopting the American motorcycles only in their charter, because he said once he rode some of the Japanese bikes and stuff, they were so much fucking better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how old was Sonny?
83.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, he should have been 85, but he was sick for 2 years.
Yeah.
No, but he had cancer like for 20 years. He's had like a hole in his throat for the last 25 or something. Like,
I mean, that's really
He
something.
smoked 3 packs of cigarettes a day.
yeah.
Wait. Really?
Yeah.
And he lived to be how old?
83.
Oh, man, I'm giving up on this giving up.
But you know what? They talk about his early life and how he didn't really do much schooling and stuff like that. And at whatever age he enlisted in the Army, and then they found out he enlisted by faking his age.
Yeah.
So they kicked him out. And so one of his quotes was, "The best way to become a man or something like that is to be in the military and also be in prison."
Yeah, and there's a lot to be said for that. Depending on what branch of the military you're in, it can be like prison. So, the sex. But yeah, that's something, man. I mean, I'm honestly surprised. Many events we've been to, he's been a keynote speaker, been out, goes around, really has been very upfront with his time. And I've watched a lot of interviews between him and Hunter S. Thompson. They had a lot of conflict over the book. And I dig all that. Like, he is a story. He's an American legend. I also know a couple of Hells Angels that don't necessarily think he's a great spokesman for their cause.
Yeah.
And maybe accuse him of selling out, and maybe think that he shouldn't be the poster boy for the Hells Angels. So, yeah, he's a man with a certain amount of controversy or controversy.
And he stepped away in 1998, so that's a long time.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But the thing is,
24 years ago.
if you found something, you can never be completely taken away from it. You can leave the company, you can
part
do
of the
whatever,
history.
but you're still fucking part of the history.
Sleepy. Blood in, blood out, brother.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. So that's that. But so that's something. I mean, I gotta say, Chris, that is kind of a big deal, because like him or hate him, love Harleys, love the idea of the Angels, don't, whatever. You have to acknowledge that guy's had an influence in the motorcycle industry. A huge
Motorcycle culture.
Yeah, a huge influence. And it is also, it might be the biggest pariah in the world to brotherhood people and to one percenters that he went out and went public, and that he was getting interviewed on, TV shows and stuff like that. They might have been, well, whatever. I mean, he's wearing their colors.
Yeah.
But he's the guy that moved it from one club in California
Right.
to however many clubs across the world. So,
Sure. Yeah.
give the guy his due. I mean,
Absolutely.
It's not like he's
Absolutely.
a slouch on the whole thing.
Nope. I
I
totally
don't think
dig
he
it.
ever turned into a pussy either.
Nope. No, I don't think so.
He ate a few pussies, I think.
Well,
That's how he got the throat cancer.
Well, once you get past,
That's why they call it Taco Tuesday.
Hey, damn, good story, man.
Did you get shot? No, HPV.
Dan, what you got going on, baby?
Mine was the Saunders Metacycle is supposed to be actually shipping this week, I think.
Oh, really?
But they also announced that
Allegedly.
what the original the people who put the $100 down and pre-bought the
Right.
bike, they got ABS and some other cool options on the bike that are not going to exist on the bike in the future.
Really? That's interesting, because in so many markets, if you want your vehicle to have the word motorcycle on it, if you want your vehicle to have a title, if you want your vehicle to be what they call Euro 5 compliant, it has to have ABS. So a lot of these little electric scooters that we do, they have ABS. We all rode them, right?
Yeah.
So the bikes we were riding, you get a bike that might have a top speed of 48 miles an hour, ABS is standard equipment. Because to not have it as standard equipment, it couldn't be sold in a lot of countries. That's very interesting. So so they're treating it a little bit like an option. They're treating it like a promo for your early adopters. But maybe it's something that I know from dealing with a lot of manufacturers, that having ABS on a vehicle increases the price of production fucking dramatically. It also increases a lot of the post-ownership diagnostic and troubleshooting and stuff like that. So, okay. Well, that's very fucking interesting. Now that's the Metacycle, right?
Right.
The one in question? Okay. Because the numbers on it are great. The numbers are fantastic. And I'm looking at their first production run, and it looks like they're in transit to California, where once they arrive in California, they will be finally assembled and prep for delivery. Because this is another one of those things that, like, the phrase "made in America" has a little asterisk after it.
Assembled in America.
Yeah, because there's that thing we talked about not that long ago about CKD, complete knockdown. And that's the bane. Those words right now are the bane of my fucking existence because we went from a bike that you could prep in under an hour to a bike that takes 3 hours to prep just so the manufacturer or the importer, I guess, could save $40 or $50 on freight.
Sculpted ergonomic saddle. It doesn't look very comfortable.
The term ergonomic has nothing to do with any part of that bike.
No.
But what if it was ergonomic?
It could be egonomic.
Ergonomic.
Ergo.
It's still going to hurt your nuts with that fucking curve.
Improved seat is more than 65 millimeters thick. I invite any of you to hold your fingers out to what 65 millimeters is. Yeah, it's 6.5 centimeters.
Like 2 times the size of most of our penises.
So anybody here riding SSR? 650 millimeters, my man. Yeah. That seat is thinner than an SSR seat for real.
It'll be caught on tape going like this.
And they'll be like, you'll always be riding in maximum style and comfort. I'm not taking anything away from this motorcycle. It is dead fucking sexy. And when I think about all the odd pentagram-shaped objects that can be put in the middle of it,
I was thinking about what kind of motor could fit in there.
Make it a hybrid.
Could definitely put one of those little Harbor Freight generators. $78 one.
yeah.
Charge
So
it.
good for them that, so Dan, how late were they based on original assessments?
I think like a year and a half, 2 years.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I think that for about 2 years, people were serving up and eating a lot of shit on the internet.
And I'll be really interested to see if it performs up to what they said it's supposed to do.
Now, have you been watching it? Have they been massaging the numbers? Because that's what happens sometimes.
I don't think they've really changed the numbers.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see because there's that whole 4,000 watts, and I'm like, you got a 4,000 watt hour battery?
4 kilowatt, yeah.
Okay, all right, that's all right. But a 4 kilowatt hour battery, that's half of what's in here, right? So that's half of what's in here, and with this bike, that would give you about 30 to 40 miles of range. So, and
what's their range? Are they saying any range on there?
that's a good question. Anything? You heard anything about
I
it?
think it's like 70 or 80 miles.
Yeah,
That was where,
that
that was kind of one of the things that I came up with, and I was like, well, based on the old Ohm's law thing, it seemed to be real hard to get 70 miles out of 4,000 watts, even if you're only running it at 80 volts or 72 volts.
What did it say though? It's a never before seen battery technology. Scroll back down.
That's a tough one too. Yeah.
Like what has never been seen? Keep going, down.
But how many miles did we do on the electric scooters?
Right there.
45.
Never before
40,
seen
45.
battery innovations.
Yeah.
What is the innovation?
Well, you know what? I honestly got to tell you that unless it's a silicone or a solid state battery, everything is going to be foreseen. Right. I think having that word never before seen battery innovation, I don't know, but we'll see. Again,
Maybe
Yeah.
there's never been a battery that's been exactly that size.
Exactly. Because
So
the
then
numbers,
it's never been seen before.
like the idea of charging a 4 kilowatt hour battery in 3 hours and 45 minutes, well, that's normal. That's pretty much every electric bike because you're running out of a household current of about up to 15 amps,
Right.
1,000 watts, give or take. So yeah, 3 hours and 45 minutes, that's not shocking. That's fine. That's not a big deal.
It's not shocking, actually.
Hey, but again, one of my pet peeves, and I've said it about a lot of bikes, the bitch doesn't carry its charger on board.
Right.
So if you want to charge this out in the world, you got to have the charger. You got to have a backpack for that charger.
They sell the box that goes in the
goes
hole.
right in the hole.
That holds the charger.
Just gonna say that.
There you go.
Gotta zip tie that shit in the
and
hole.
that's the thing is like if I hand you the charger to any one of these bikes, these little scooters or
They
whatever
don't
it is,
fit anywhere.
right? The only thing that I had really, really good to say about the Vespa Electrica was the charger was built in.
Yeah.
Right.
and it still had room for your shit under the seat.
Yep.
You could still put some purchasables under the seat of the bike,
A half helmet.
right, and have the charger. Whereas all the other ones, if you're out in the field and you run out of electricity,
Womp womp.
good luck, bitch. You're traveling at 14 miles an hour for as long as she'll have you, right?
Painfully slow.
Painfully slow. Well, that's a good story too. Fuck it, Sondors, man. You're good thing for
Almost
Sondors.
there. Almost there.
Yeah, they're claiming 80 miles, but
80 miles.
no way.
No,
Well, 80 miles.
This is
5 miles
This
an
is
hour.
7.2 kilowatts. And if you're very good, or your name's Steve Hoffert, you can get 90 miles out of it. If you're Steve Hoffert.
I made Steve overheat this morning.
Him or his bike?
His bike. He was riding his Zero.
Right.
And I saw a guy, I'm like, And then I got closer, I'm like, oh, that might be Steve. And he was following a box truck kind of
was he really?
a little bit.
He was drafting?
Maybe a little bit. And I was driving the Corvette. So I was like, whoa, speed it up a little bit. And then right as I went past him, I was like, whoa, and flew by him just to wake him up. And then for a minute, he pulled out behind me. And I actually was going to slow down. I mean, by the time I decelerated, I was quite a ways ahead of him.
Yeah, sure.
But I did back off down to like 65 mile an hour. I'm like, well, maybe he wants to try to catch up with me. I'll let him try to catch up with me.
Yeah.
But then for whatever reason, then he backed off. And then when he got to work, he said that that it lit up and cut power and that it like like when he got it, after being at pretty much highway speed and then trying to wick it up and try to catch up with me, it was it gave him like a limp mode kind of thing.
What time of day? Because it was hot today, man.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
phone
Well,
I mean,
overheated
that was-
just driving in the car today.
That was 6:15 a.m.
Oh, okay.
So, John, I have a question.
Okay.
What makes a 4-cycle motor stall when it overheats?
Well, I mean, like, there could be various things, but I mean, if it's really hot and it's not cooling right, I mean, you could vapor lock. I mean, would be the number one thing. Like,
No, because this happened on my 76 BMW, like
Okay.
a 97-degree day, and we were caught in traffic,
and it just went.
and it stalled twice.
You
And
start actually boiling the gas in your carburetor.
Yeah, that's the.
Okay.
That's.
Oh, especially because
Yeah,
they're right over the cylinders right there. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
No, and we were stuck in traffic, and I told Dan, I like, dude, we're doing a U-turn. We gotta be moving. We can't be sitting still.
Yeah, you need air cooling. Ergo airhead.
Airhead, yeah. And when motorcycles get hot enough, they're regardless. You will get valve misbehavior at high temperatures. One of the first things to
Makes
tell
sense.
you that your motorcycle's running way too hot is your valves will no longer move in the valve guides the way they're supposed to.
That was another article that I started reading was about how metal moves.
Yep.
And that metal has a lot of a gas of electrons in it, and that's what makes it malleable. That as it's bending, it's breaking bonds, but it's making new bonds because it has so many electrons in it, and that's why it conducts electricity so well, and that's why it's malleable. So when you have a valve in your motor and it's banging up and down and spinning around and doing everything it does move. It does,
Oh hell yeah!
yeah.
Absolutely.
It's like window panes. After 100 years, you look at a window pane and it has melted.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can.
And you're applying heat and stress and all this stuff to it. And
My CBX ran beautifully. I mean, valve adjustment, I had spent 12 or 13 hours getting this bike set up, 24 valves, perfectly, rebuilt the carbs, everything as good as that bike could be. A 1979 CBX, best year. And in 1992 or 93, sorry, not for the matters, but 1995, I was in New York City traffic, stop and go, Manhattan traffic. And the part that went away was 24 valves stopped working the way they should. Regardless of the fact that we have a extremely good valve train, and everything is as good as it can be on a bike with only 4,000, 5,000 miles on it, perfectly set up. That air-cooled motor in stop-and-go Manhattan 100-degree traffic, I could hear the cylinders no longer running. And it got down to the point where I knew that I was running on 3, 4 tops. Yeah. And I was like, fuck it, man, got to pull over. That's it. Just got to pull over.
Your exhaust valves, when they start deforming under heat and stress, then they leak, and then it's a heat failure, and it makes it even worse because the heat doesn't go out the exhaust; it heats up the valve.
Absolutely.
Hey, speaking of cylinders, not firing and stuff.
Yeah.
When I was filming the NHRA on Friday.
Yeah.
There's a really cool thing I didn't notice, but this I give credit to the crew chief. So the crew chiefs are standing there with the top fuel cars, and the cars leave, right?
Yeah.
And I wondered why they were so intently looking at the motors as they leave. Well, the crew chiefs have the button in their hand.
Yeah, they can shut it down.
They can shut it down. So if they see like one of the cylinders not firing, they can kill it
No, they can
before
just kill
it's
it.
catastrophic.
Absolutely.
It was fucking awesome.
Yeah,
I was
remote
like,
kills.
Yeah.
A genius idea.
I had no idea that
because the guy inside can't see shit.
No.
Yeah.
He's just hanging on for dear life.
Game on, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're on that rocket
That was
sled.
interesting because they could save, because you see one cylinder out, there's no puff coming out of it.
Yeah.
Boom, off.
I mean, my brother just had to buy a valve for his motor. Titanium valve was like $600.
Yeah.
One valve.
For one valve. Holy shit.
Is
All
that
right.
for the mudslinger truck?
Anyone else got a news story?
No,
I got a news story that even I was a little fucking surprised to hear.
Oh.
Fake news. Yeah, it's fake news, all right. Harley Davidson has been identified by name by the Federal Trade Commission for violating the Right to Repair Act.
Oh shit!
Oh, wow.
Oh, shit. Yeah, all you fucking nerds just like,
I know that term.
Oh, I know those words. Oh, I want to replace the battery in my iPhone that I'm running
Fucking
Linux
Apple.
on. Right, yeah. Fucking nerds, right? Fucking nerds. You mean Harley Davidson got in trouble for right to repair? You bet your fucking ass they
yeah.
did.
Yeah.
And wait until you see the class action lawsuit that's going to come out of this.
Oh, I'm
because every fuckknuckle in the world who's wearing a black vest is going to be like, well, I was fully going to just do all my own services and I was going to do everything, but now they said I wasn't allowed to.
You know who else is getting in on that
Yeah.
class action is Deshaun Watson. Yeah, he wants to make up. That's a joke, guys.
Who's
I
that?
don't know. Yeah, I don't know who that is.
That's the
Oh, is he-
quarterback at Cleveland who's being sued by like 82 women.
He's the sports. He's the sports ball rapist.
yeah.
Oh wait, you mean the guy who our city paid more than an entire stadium costs to have come into our club, even though we knew he had litigation against him from some 25 women?
And he can't play?
You mean that
him.
guy?
Yeah.
That guy?
That-
okay.
yeah,
Okay.
that- that's
so you know
him.
it's a good idea.
So he's going to jump
Yeah.
on the back end of this class,
this class action
to make up some money.
Yeah, he's going to claim all of his Harley Davidsons were wrong.
I hope Deshaun Watson breaks the Browns.
Again, the whole concept is paying somebody who is already in the middle of a court case with 24 charges of rape against him and being like, we're going to pay you a lot of money and come play ball for our club, even though in all likelihood you're not going to play ball a single day and you're going to amass billions of dollars of legal fees for our club.
Sports ball.
Fucking sports ball.
Well, he agreed to come to this city where quarterbacks come to die. So
Okay, so also, and then the other thing too is the dude's clearly toxic, right? So he was just looking for any port in a storm. Yep. But that whole thing about
56 times.
56 times. So
So
here's
who actually started that lawsuit? Because
I'm so glad you brought that up.
Who would think of any Harley owner would even try to even change a fucking plug?
okay.
No, some do.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because it never had to make it that
Steve
far,
Noble.
Oscar.
New
Steve,
bikes.
Yeah, Steve
Dude.
Noble. There's Harley guys
Bruh.
that do stuff.
Dude.
Dude.
All right.
Do you want to know where it all fell apart?
Yes, sir.
So let me get this straight. I'm signing my financing paperwork here for my $29,000 Evo Street Mecha Glide. Yep. And okay, do you mind if I read it? Nobody reads that, bro. I'm going to go ahead and read it. No, nobody reads that, bro. It's like 76 pages. I'm going to go ahead and read it.
I got time.
So wait a second. In my warranty, it says that if I have anybody other than your technicians work on this bike,
Voice quarantine.
it voids my warranty.
Fucking A.
I can only get my oil changed at the Harley dealer.
Yeah.
Well, that's what it says in the
I don't
warranty.
know if you know this, but I'm an attorney.
Have you ever heard of the Magnuson-Moss Act? Because that's exactly what happened. So it is, by any other fucking word, it is intimidation on the part of the motor company.
Yeah.
It is the motor company saying, if you do any work on this bitch that takes away our back end, we're going to take away your fucking warranty. Any warranty claim you make if we don't look in our computer and see that you did your 600 with us and your 2600 with us and your 5600 with us, then we're going to say your warranty's null and void because you let somebody else get their dick beaters up in this thing. So, as stated in the complaints, this is from the actual document from the Federal Trade Commission, the complaint. The commission charged Harley-Davidson, which manufactures motorcycles and related equipment, and Westinghouse, which makes and sells outdoor generators and related products, in a double-headed, with unlawfully, and I like the use of this
Crossing
term,
streams.
with unlawfully conditioning their warranties on the use of authorized parts in violation of both the Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act and the FTC Act. The commission also alleged that Harley-Davidson failed to provide a clear description of warranty terms in a single document, a violation of the disclosure rule. This is fucking real. And the consent orders obtained in these matters bar both manufacturers from continuing the unlawful tying of their warranties to the use of authorized service or parts and prohibit them from misrepresenting any material facts about the warranty. Importantly, the firms are also required to note clearly and conspicuously in public statements that using third-party parts or repair services will not void the warranty. They must also provide customers with clear notice alerting them of the change. Now, I predict the Oracle will now speak.
Okay.
Prepare to see a full-page Harley-Davidson ad in Psycho World magazine saying, Harley-Davidson, American, we want you to work on your own shit. We encourage it. With Harley-Davidson, we're American and we want you to get your fingers dirty. Having greasy fingernails is the new cool.
Now it's this new
Okay,
selling
different
point
tack. Let them work on it. When they break it and can't fix it,
It's gonna come back to them anyway.
They're going to have to come back to us anyway.
But
So
isn't Tesla the same way? Tesla, you can't work on your own shit. You have to take it to their Tesla thing.
I mean, you
If
can
you
say
can
the
find
same thing
someone
about
that
a Zero.
Well, if
How
you
much
find
work could
someone
an
that-
average Joe do on a Zero?
But only one of those vehicles that we just went through is a 100-year-old operating system.
But then, too, a John Deere tractor, you can't. I mean, like
right.
if you don't have the
That's exactly it.
the tool and everything like that, forget about it.
I heard the Supreme Court is ready to take away the Federal Trade Commission's authority to regulate trade.
Anything.
So nothing's going to
anything,
happen.
right.
I think it's
exactly
just a slap in the wrist. I agree. I don't think there's anything going to happen because you can buy parts from them,
Yep.
and I think that's one of a big debate of other
Again-
electronics. If
Right.
they're not even able to sell you any parts,
Right.
even if you want to do your
Yep.
own job,
Yep.
that's a different story. Of you can buy your shit, but you're going to void your warranty. I think that's just a slap in the wrist.
What's
I
the
don't think
value of
nothing's gonna happen.
this lawsuit, this class action lawsuit?
It's not a class action lawsuit. It's an FTC ruling. It's an
okay.
FTC judgment. Yeah. So it's
I don't think
it's one of those
gonna
things that it has the federal. It's not so much a lawsuit as it is the Federal Trade Commission saying your warranty that you've been telling people for how many years, and I know specifically stated,
Yeah.
you touch anything in this bike, your warranty's
warranty,
bye-bye,
yeah.
right?
So
And-
Earl over in marketing has been let go unceremoniously.
Then they're going to change only their paperwork, and that's about it. They're going to other people are going to fuck up their bikes, and then they're going to bring it back to them and charge them whatever the fuck they want for.
That's
fixing their shit.
exactly
So I
right.
don't think that. Yeah, they're not going to lose any.
Yeah,
business on it.
and the reason that
Dang it.
I call attention to this whole thing about right to repair.
Richard, yeah.
The local dealer down here is $371 for your 600-mile service, your 1,000-mile service, your first service, first time through. It's an oil change. It's oil change and filter, 3 holes. And that is one of those first things where they're like, before we let you make a warranty claim on your $28,000 Milwaukee 8 powered brand new motorcycle that has some known fucking problems that are affecting a lot of people who've bought this bike in the past couple of years.
Oil pump.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the oil pressurization problem. It's something, right? So before you get that work done, and it's very expensive work, the first thing they're going to do is look at your customer service record, and they're going to go, wait, Mr. KROMKE, we have a problem.
You need to do
What's
this
that?
upgrade.
You didn't do your first service. You didn't do your second service. You got $6,000 on your bike. We show no evidence of you having service. Well, we're not going to warranty your bike if you never change the oil in the motherfucker. You've had the bike for 8,000 miles. You've never done an oil change. Well, I did myself. I have a receipt. I bought the oil filter here. I bought the oil here. Mr. KROMKE, I'd invite you to look at page 397 of your warranty. Well, I got a one-page warranty. Well, but on the bottom of your one-page warranty, it says for full warranty, go to this website. And then you go to that website, and on the bottom of page 397, it says, thou shalt not work on your own motorcycle.
Fucking KROMKE.
Doesn't it just say you're fucked?
It pretty much does. Yeah, it does. So, and this is something that we know, and we've had people come in to here at our shop with bikes that Harley Davidson down the street refused to work on
Because
under
they voided their
warranty.
warranty. Yeah.
And people have come into us and said, okay, my warranty's no good anymore because I put these Screaming Eagle pipes on. And I said, who told you that? Well, the guy at the dealership did. And I print out a copy of the Magnuson-Moss Act. It's been around for a very long time. And I print out a copy and I hand it to him. And I said, go home and read this. It's in English. And then when you're done reading this, take it back to the Harley Davidson dealership.
Staple it to his forehead.
Tell him go fuck your head.
Right. And then tell him to fix the fucking bike, because changing your mufflers on your bike does not violate a problem you're having with the clutch. Period. So,
You're just a man for others.
well, I just am a man that gets really sick of people bringing me their fucking problems, you know? And that really is a problem. So that's a big deal. So welcome to that. That's a thing that's happening.
interesting.
Yeah, and I thought I thought the nerds would like that one.
Fucking nerds.
Nerds.
So speaking of Harley Davidson, y'all see that motorcycle?
Yep.
Because we were talking about these earlier, right?
Yeah, that's about the color of the one I rode.
Yeah, right. That's a 2014 Harley Davidson. Nothing strange about that. Solid bike. We all agree. It's not. No, it's not
Fairly
too bad.
handsome, yeah.
Fairly handsome. Good bike. And that motor's
Oh.
and that Evo motor, that 1200 Evo or 883 Evo, it's been around for just one day less than Jesus, right? Yeah, not too bad.
Claimed by
Not
the
too
Harley
bad.
Davidson
You know,
Corporation.
December 26th.
Right. And if anybody needs to, we'll do this little Pepsi challenge business. I like the Pepsi challenge, right? So you guys can all see that. So we'll just kind of throw that around so people can have a look at it. So take a good long look at that motor. Okay. I
There's
want
a
you to
motor,
really,
transmission
really,
behind it.
just take a good long look at that motor.
Two-piecer.
All right. Take a look at this motor.
Ooh, Shine Ray.
All right. Now we'll go back to that motor. Okay?
Yeah.
I'll do it again. Pick your favorite part and focus on it.
Yeah, it's not
Oh,
the same fucking the same motor.
All right?
wow.
Wow. That's kind of fucking
Did
weird.
their patent run out or something?
No,
Like, what?
it didn't. It didn't run out. So, deep dive time. Shine Ray, our friends over in China. Yeah, Shine Ray. You know, genuine G400C. Don't say, Honda. MASH.
Right.
Yeah. Right?
Oh, no.
Yeah. So, Shine Ray, China, where intellectual property means fucking nothing, right?
So how do you translate the potato and
Chatato.
Oh, what's a really popular vegetable over there?
Watercress.
Fucking dude, all I know is when I saw this
Watercress.
when I saw this picture right here, I thought in this picture they were showing me the Harley motor. When I saw this picture,
Yeah.
I thought that they were showing me a picture of the Harley motor.
Yeah.
They weren't.
Damn, that's pretty. Yeah,
They're
that's pretty
showing me a
close.
picture of the Shine Ray.
Is that the whole?
Wait. Look at the side cover behind it.
Yeah. No, it's all the same.
Okay? Look at any part of it you want to look at.
That'll be the greatest day ever if they fucking clone
Look at the gas tank with no seam. The Chinese have done what Honda couldn't do in the past fucking 100 years. They made a gas tank with no fucking seam in it. 'Cause
Soybean.
Every other fucking Japanese motorcycle in the history of ever has had a seam on the gas tank, right? Except this one. I mean, I took some time and really went back and forth between the Shine Ray and the Harley Davidson.
Do they have a picture of the full bike?
What's that? They don't.
Oh, that one?
Yeah, they don't. But this is because they have what? SWM.
Yeah.
So that SWM is that Italian design house, that Italian fabrication building. and Shine Ray owns them. And so if Shine Ray goes to SWM and says, SWM, it's time to make a Sportster.
They're doing it.
Because the Sportster is not Euro 5 compliant.
Right.
Because it can't be. So that means that intellectual property means nothing. It means nothing at all. So yes, it is a very interesting thing that, and then some person that works here that shall remain nameless said today, he's like, well, has anyone seen a picture of the Harley factory where they're actually making Sportster motors?
Oh, good point.
Or are they just taking Sportster motors out of crates and putting them into Sportsters? And I said, oh, fuck, dude, you're fucking with my head now.
Yeah.
Because then that makes you wonder, is this really a news story? Or is this like, oh, we're able to put our own sticker on the side for once?
Yeah.
And that makes you really, really wonder. Not joking, looking at this, and they came out, they've got horsepower figures and everything. So it does look like the Shine Ray might be 6 horsepower less and a slightly lower compression ratio than the Harley, but I would only attribute that to engine timing for lower octane gas.
Yeah.
Right.
So I remember hearing a long time ago, and it might be just an urban legend, but isn't the Harley noise patented?
Yes. Well, that's
the
an urban legend. Right.
Okay, so it's not a thing?
Harley Davidson tried to sue Honda because Honda had manufactured its Shadow motors to sound very much like the syncopated tone of the Harley Davidson. And the story was that Harley Davidson sued Honda over the tone of their motor.
Nothing like it.
Yeah, right, exactly. And that was...
So it was not an actual thing. It was something they tried to kind of...
Ooh. And I believe that one... And that's one of those ones we're pulling it up right now because we have internet right here. Remember when Harley Davidson sued Honda for being too Harley? The Honda Shadow ACE was so similar that Harley actually sued them over the look and even the sound.
Okay. So that's probably where it spawned.
Yep.
Okay.
And I think that's what it is. Anyway, long story short, there you have it. And my favorite thing was that, yes, Honda even printed made in the USA on the seat. Because they were made in Ohio.
Yeah.
The Hondas,
Really?
those Hondas were made in Ohio. Yep. So they did.
Marysville.
Yeah.
Yep.
Marysville, Ohio. There you go. And so, end result, Honda didn't lose. So, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. They look really
Do
like
we want
this
to go
to me.
light off some fireworks?
Woohoo.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
Bum, bum.
Oh, yeah. I got it, man. That's about it. So if you are planning on coming out to AMA Vintage Days,
yeah.
Vintage Days.
Sunday.
If you're planning on coming out to AMA Vintage Days,
joke.
this would be a real fucking good time for you to get your shit together. Go on to AMA Vintage Motorcycle Days website. Make sure you get your ass registered.
Yep.
Make sure you understand the rules. Little tip from your friends here at Cleveland Moto Podcast.
Bring bourbon,
sunscreen,
rum,
shoes that you're okay with getting super muddy.
Weed.
pineapple juice,
Yeah. Yeah. If you're coming past our booth,
rum, please. Yeah, pineapple juice,
pineapple juice,
Coconuts.
coconuts.
cream of
yeah,
coconut.
Just
Yep.
coconuts in general. I'm good with coconuts in general. Yeah, coconuts in general. Those are all. I think that will be the year of Tiki this year for
Yes.
Cleveland Moto
Yes,
Podcast.
please.
We'll do Cleveland Moto Podcast will be the year of Tiki.
Yes.
So bring Tiki inspired things if you want to party with us.
Shirts.
White Castle's fine.
Yep.
Oh God, man.
Pineapple Express weed
Yeah,
would fit
yeah,
into
that would
the
be great.
thing.
I do. For people who I know that you've never come to Mid Ohio before. I know you've never been there before. Cash.
Yeah.
Bring cash. It is harder than you think to materialize $1,200 when you only have $400 in your pocket.
And most of the spots are going to take cash only.
Absolutely. I cannot think of too many old men that are there like Venmo me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is not a real big deal at Mid Ohio. So please remember that it's going to be a good time. You're going to be walking your tits off, so that's fine. If you want to,
You should be riding your tits off.
if you want to come and see us, we will have some very friendly priced alternatives to walking. that you could probably even sell on Sunday and make a buck.
Yep.
We'll have some of that stuff ready to rock and roll.
Maybe we should talk about the rules of buying and selling. Meaning that if you buy something and you walk away, like you now own that and you can't complain about anything.
Well, that's the rules. You just said it.
Yeah.
Don't complain.
Well, I mean, it is entertaining when
You don't
somebody...
have to say black, no trade back at
Yeah, you
Go
don't
fuck
have-
your head.
Right. It is more like, bust the deal, face the wheel. I have only seen it one time in 20 years where somebody came 6 hours after buying a bike and said they wanted their money back because it wasn't everything they wanted. And the worst thing was they wanted their money back despite the fact the bike was still running perfectly. The bike ran great. It just wasn't what they wanted. It wasn't fast enough.
An impulse purchase.
It was...
That's everything in Mid-Ohio. What are you talking about? That's the whole point.
Mid-Ohio has got, there is no buyer's remorse at Mid-Ohio.
No, but there is Monday when you get back and you're like, what the fuck am I going to do with this now?
Why do I have 7 Trail 90s?
Well, then you wait until next year,
Then
bring
you
them
wait
back,
until-
and sell it all over
yeah,
again.
yeah.
Because there are currencies that only work at Mid-Ohio.
Right.
That's
well,
true.
and there's only
True.
cool at Mid-Ohio, too, which
Oh,
is
that's a
shit
lot
that,
of that
like,
stuff.
by Friday, you're like, I need this. This is what I need in my life is that.
So the mini bikes that you bought multiple years?
yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
All right.
I do not understand what happens. Every year I go to AMA Vintage Days, I have some disease or some little earwig or something that crawls into my ear and whispers like, buy everything. If you find the right Honda Cub EZ.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's always one fucking bike. And honestly, having it be the Honda Cub EZ has been really safe because that has kept me out of trouble. That is like,
There was one on
didn't. You bought
Marketplace for $2,500.
okay, well, that's pretty
It
good.
was
but you-
actually for sale.
It was actually for sale, right?
You were like 6 p.m. drunk at 2 p.m.
Yeah.
And you bought that Honda
the Dream?
Dream.
Dream's fine.
But it was a good bike. It
was a good
looking
bike.
Still a great
bike.
bike. Rode it the
Yeah.
other day. Motherfucker's solid.
Yeah.
Motherfucker's solid. Hey, remember the guy who sent us naked pictures of his girlfriend? Yeah. Okay. Well, he found
the
us.
phone, please.
He found us on our new hotline number.
Did he send us a picture of his junk?
No, he did not. He did not
right.
send us a picture of his junk. He sent us a picture of a butt.
His button or
It's solid, dude. It's solid.
Send it over here.
okay, pass it to the left.
Yeah, I'll pass to the left.
Puff,
It's
puff,
solid.
pass, dude.
I do like that he wrote us a 2-pager. But
Holy
yeah, right.
mollies. I'm not reading
That's
shit,
more
but
than
that's
than
solid.
yoga. That's more than yoga. That's not just yoga.
Let's toy.
That's like a
Totally like
Peloton.
a
that's like a
toy gun.
Peloton or something going
I
on
don't
there.
know.
I don't know
That's
what's going
solid.
on there, but that's like
That's
dude.
not real.
exactly. That's a lead press on ass. Yeah. Yeah, that's a fake butt.
Get the quarters out.
That-
I'm gonna bounce some shit out of
You
there.
could bounce your fucking eye out on that. If you bounce a quarter on that, you might get
Get
PPE,
50 cents
baby.
back.
yeah, you might get 50 cents back. Yeah.
I haven't seen John.
I've seen better. I've seen better.
Oh, John.
Well, he does have to take a
my
shower. He
So-
looks in the
God.
mirror in the morning.
So that's
Yeah.
encouragement for that podcaster to send us
Yeah.
more pictures.
I
So-
just heard a very quiet knock on the table that tells me John's lying. All right. So anyway,
Just no more like a ding.
he's like, whoever has your old number, the old bat phone number, whoever has your old bat phone number definitely got some decent nudes. Anyway,
resend.
so anyway, he said, hey, I haven't touched, this is our friend Matt, right? And so our friend Matt says, I haven't touched base in a while. I want to pose another question to you gentlemen. All right.
That's a long pause.
It was.
So he does say, "Hey Nick, love you guys, but considering how many times I've heard you not had a running Superhawk, you shouldn't be giving me too much shit about my particular stable." Go back to episode 156, which I was on, and all the questions I have asked since. I thought I would give you guys some updates on the bikes. The 750 Super Sport will retain the points per John Meckelfresh after I rode a 550, which I am currently rebuilding. The 1350 that I had a starting issue with the Kickstarter, after all the clutch adjustments in the fucking world, turned out to be the actual fucking clutch. The other 350 that was having starting issues, I still don't have a fucking clue what happened, but the new plugs retiming the goddamn thing 4 times and cleaning the points is now finally onto a new owner. The SL70 that you guys saw a hot little number take a dirt nap on, refer to the brunette and the see-through top. That was in the last group of shots.
that was a good one.
Does in fact turn the headlight on once it is running. Does this thing have 2 condensers, one under the tank and one under the flywheel?
Wait, say that again. I didn't.
That SL70, it's got a condenser in the flywheel for sure. But there
Wait,
is
you're saying a condenser?
condensers, the 2 little beer cans.
Yeah.
There's one under the gas tank too.
The condenser would only be for the ignition, but
That's the one under the flywheel.
But there's probably, I mean, most Hondas have, like, it probably has 2 different coils. One coil that supports your ignition.
Exactly.
One coil that supports your lighting.
Accessories.
That's the way my KE is.
That's
My
exactly
KE,
right.
That's very common.
The
Yep,
tail
that's
light
common.
will run off the battery, and the turn signals run off the battery, but the headlight runs off of the engine.
Straight off the
So
coil.
which one's the
Yeah,
one that's
So,
getting
and this is
chrome?
what he said. He said, I found that the condenser under the flywheel had an exposed wire.
Well, there you go.
And it was grounding out, which we've talked about on the podcast numerous times.
I wonder if, I mean, like okay, so a CT70, the condenser and points are under the flywheel.
flywheel.
Yeah.
The coil
Yep.
is outside. It
Outside.
should not have a condenser on it. But if somebody swapped a coil from a CT90 or something else,
Right.
it might have a condenser hanging off of it because now you've got 2 condensers.
And
You're very condensed.
they're super condensed, ultra condensed milk. So, but I'm kind of happy because he said liquid tape. So he said he used a little liquid tape on it and it
Nice.
sussed it. It's totally great.
Nice.
Very fucking cool. But he does have a question for the Honda Whisperer.
Okay.
Dun, 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 dun. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I know. All right. So here's the deal. I do have a question. I don't have any time for anything super witty, but I got a hot date tonight. But I do have a question. I'm getting random spark on my 64 Dream. Like I ride it for 3 miles, it'll die, and then about 10 minutes later, it'll fire back up and run for about 15, 20 seconds and die. Check the timing, clean the points, changed out my rectifier from my other Dream, new battery, but still getting very low running voltage, which I believe is causing the issue. Thoughts? Glad to be back in touch. Hope all you gentlemen are doing well. So to wrap it up, rides for 3 or 4 miles, it dies.
Okay, well, first off, I want you to hook up a voltmeter
Yep.
that you can have attached at all times.
Yep.
So you can real-time monitor your voltage. Are you losing voltage, running out of electrons? Your ignition will run as long as it's got 12 volts.
Yep.
Now, I don't know
It's a
if you have
64 Dream, 6 volts. I think. 12 volts?
all 12 volts. Unless it's a 160, like the smaller one.
Yeah,
if it's a,
that's
is it
right.
if it's a 250 or a 305.
Yeah, that's right. Because my
be 12
160 is 6 volts.
Even from 61.
Yeah, the 305. So if it's a 305, it's 12 volts.
Yeah, it should be 12 volts.
Yep, you're right.
But I mean, the ignition system should work. It's points and a coil
Yep.
with 12 volts feeding the coil
And a condenser.
and a condenser.
Right.
But the condenser, it'll still have a spark even without a condenser.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But your points will burn up sooner. So it's
15
one of
minutes
those 3
or-
things.
Yeah. So it runs for 10 minutes.
That's the weird thing.
It
Clean
dies.
your points. Your points could be make sure your points are lubed up. Like your little dauber thing has oil
Advance.
on it. Make sure your Fresnelec block isn't getting tight and hanging open or something.
And
like
there's also advanced too.
yeah,
So, and that's what this sounds like. Because when it gets hot, it stops running. So when it's cold, when it cools down, it runs again for a little while, and then it gets hot. So I don't think his advance is working.
Could it be? I mean, like it couldn't be fuel related, right? He's thinking it's ignition and stuff, but if it's getting hot, could it be something like the vapor lock you're talking about? Like if he has something not.
Yeah, it would be.
Again, you'd have to be real time monitoring your spark.
Yeah, your
Are
spark.
you in fact losing
Yeah.
spark? Or are you?
Yeah,
You know what I
that's-
mean?
This to me sounds like an advance problem
Could be.
because it starts good cold.
So, but coils when they go bad,
They act that way too.
they'll
They're heat
start up, but
sensitive.
then as things expand, then that little crack in, then you're losing. You could really quickly have again that same meter that you hooked up. Check ohm out your coil and
Right.
see if it's got an open line.
Because I've had, I've had coils act
And you
that
can
way.
even you can heat it up in an oven and see if it like all of a sudden it warm.
Oh, hot coils, you can fire a bike up and runs like a son of a bitch. Runs like
Honestly,
a
if
rate
I
tape.
even suspected it was the coil, I'd just buy a new coil.
I would too.
On the eBays.
Yep, they're super cheap. And
12 volt dual output coil,
what's the
$32.
Yep. I've also seen bad springs on those advanced.
Yeah.
And
They're
that's
just the
also-
springs. I mean, you can work it. I mean, if you work it and it seems like it advances and it
Doesn't
snaps
catch.
back,
All right.
It should be fine if there's nothing stupid going on.
Yeah, because that whole like the thing about like it
if you
runs
want to hook
for
up a timing light and then you rev it at 2,000 RPM.
2,000 RPM, it should change.
You should see it, and there's marks on your flywheel. You have your top dead center, but you have your and then you'll have your advances way over here.
Way over. It's 20 fucking degrees over. Yeah, so
At 2,000, you should see it go to those marks.
it'll swing right over. So I agree. He says he checked the timing, but I don't know if that means he checked it with a timing light. Because I would definitely take 5 seconds, hook up a timing light to it, do the 2,000 RPM test, like get it up, like run it from idle to 3,000 RPM, watch it make that sweep, and motherfucker, if it doesn't take that long to get it hot enough to fuck a coil over, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, just do a little tune-up on it, you know.
Yeah. And then he says he's still getting low running voltage. And I got to say, the reason you're getting low running voltage is fucking 60-year-old magnets in that son of a bitch. Yeah. I can't believe a stator is going to have good, healthy polarity at 60 years old.
But like
I know,
like my bike, you're kicking it over and it is lighting the headlight.
Yeah.
It pulses the headlight. It really does. If mine does.
So time again,
Nick's does.
Right. Time
maybe
again,
his doesn't.
Time
because
again,
that does have. I mean that it's on the right hand side of the motor and it has a coating on it. And I've seen where they've been bruised, and like some of that comes off. You know, if it's ever been apart or anything like that.
And if they get bruised, if it's been apart and it's bruised or damaged, it doesn't take much. The electricity escapes, and that will it will drop your field strength like nobody's business. Wow. So when you see a little scratch or a little cut,
I mean, my bike can have a dead battery, and I kick it, and it starts, and you'll see the headlight will flicker.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like you could almost charge the battery if you just wanted to sit there
and kick it long enough. But I do think in his particular situation,
one time kick it. Sorry.
No, I think that his deal is definitely coil swap for sure. I'd start with but you know what? You're right. Fucking put a voltmeter on that son of a bitch and ride it. And you have the voltmeter,
coil swap, clean your points, check your advancer, you know, do all these little things.
And resend more fucking pictures.
More
we
nudes.
lost all the ones when you changed the number. So resend those.
Hey. And because we're not going to give out fucking advice and not show you how
look
to
at your
fucking
wiring.
do it.
You know?
That's the only reason why we're answering the question is because of the pictures.
He sends naked pictures, right? You
please
send
more
naked girl
pictures.
pictures
Send more
and pictures of
questions,
butts and stuff like that.
Sometimes just staring at it. Just look at it. You just look at your bike sometimes and you find all kinds of problems. You just dibble dabble, get a rag and start cleaning parts of it.
Yeah.
You're like, oh shit, look at this wire.
Just get past the smell.
And then you've got it licked.
You guys, this is today's tip from your Unkie Phil. Everybody likes buying stuff. Everybody likes buying shit on Amazons and stuff like that. If you don't have one of these right now, go out and get it. Okay, here's
Careful
why.
though, because mine has an on. Make sure yours has an on-off switch because I killed my battery the first time I used that.
What? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, the
The
LED.
voltmeter itself in that, if you leave it long enough, will kill your battery.
Oh, I have mine on my Harley for it's a Harley. Okay, fair enough. So here's.
I'm just saying.
No, you're right. So here's the deal.
It's like leaving a cell phone charger plugged in.
This has an SAE lead on it, which means you literally hook it up to the ring terminals that you're going to be using for your Optimate or battery tender because you're not a fucking moron. All right? But the reason you do this is this thing's got not one but two USBs on it, and it's got a voltmeter. So you hook this thing up to your motorcycle, and for the princely sum of under $13, hard-earned American kopecks, right? It's genius.
That's pretty cool.
I really, really like this thing. It's good.
Sleepy and I have had those for like 6 years. You just getting caught up?
No, I've been selling them at the shop. They're hanging on the shelf. I think you bought yours from me. But here's what I got to tell you guys. A little something on this. This has got a built-in amp meter. This has an amp meter. It's got output current. And so these are the ones I've been buying most recently because it literally does have a little switch on the side for volts and amps.
That's pretty cool.
And that's pretty dope. Yeah, that's pretty dope.
That's another thing too. Maybe like your connections, spray them down with a little WD-40 and pop them apart and back together a couple times, clean them up. Sometimes they'll just make you get a lot of resistance because they've corroded and
Little dielectric grease in there.
Electric grease.
I like WD-40 when I take a headlight out. First thing I like to do is just spray her with WD-40 and then just take a rag and just kind of go, And you know what it does? It cleans off all the wires, and you can tell what color
You
they
can
are.
see what color they are. And here's another pro tip.
Get all that dirt off the wires, and now you can tell what all the colors are. And I know what all the colors mean. So, hey.
Have you ever taken, remember when we were kids, they had those hard candy cigarettes?
Yeah.
Remember those things?
Yeah.
Right? And you ever fall down off the swing set and fall on your pack of hard candy cigarettes? They shatter into dust.
Oh.
Well, that's what Japanese wiring is made of from the 1970s.
Especially the green one.
Yeah, the green one. The green one is made of hard candy
That'll
cigarettes.
fuck you over.
So if you have an Italian motorcycle or you have a Japanese motorcycle and it has green anywhere in the wiring harness, it's already broken.
Doesn't last.
It is already broken. You see any green wire and you just grab it and bend it into the shape of a U and it just goes and everything falls off. But if you spray it down with WD-40 a week before you go to touch it, I mean a week, that WD-40 soaks into all that rubber and it reconstitutes the petroleum products in the rubber. And I have had bikes before where I've pulled the stator off and looked at that bike and went, oh, not touching that for a week. And then I just bathe the whole motherfucker in WD-40. Just make it swim in WD-40. Throw an old towel over it.
So you're feeding the dinosaurs with other dinosaurs.
That's exactly right.
It's not really going to hurt anything.
No.
Because what it does is disperse water.
It disperses water. It creates a lubricant on the things that
Your
you're about to
switches,
move.
all your switch gear and stuff. Like
You know
I've
what
had switches.
WD stand for? Water displacement.
Water disbursement.
Yeah.
Like,
And
you know,
what
like
else?
your starter button doesn't work, little WD-40, work it a few times and it just comes back, it rinses it. It's, you know, it's
And
not,
everywhere there's a rubber seal that runs against a piece of metal that is drier than your great grandma's pasta, it will magically protect that. So you give it a week with a good liberal dose of WD-40 and just leave it the fuck alone. And you can charge for that. You can charge for that time. Because it's impregnating the seals.
that's when, as soon as I get a new bike,
Shop
that's
time.
especially a non-runner, it's
Yeah.
like WD-40,
Every
the shit
fucking
out of
thing,
everything.
man.
All
Yeah.
the fulcrums on the
Yeah.
brakes, the levers, the this, that, just a lot of WD-40.
And if you're into old dirt bikes and stuff, that'll save you 7 broken spokes. No, and it's like, that's real.
Yep.
And to me, the difference is if I get on a nipple, I want to know that thing's not going to come off.
Nipple.
Right. I mean, it's,
Spokes.
Spokes.
SSRs. So as I was hard enduring my SSR, getting it ready for Mid Ohio.
a little hard right, Jay.
Yeah, I was going through everything and rear spokes were loose. So I started tightening them and I fixed it up. But I'm just saying, if you're out there beating the shit out of these SSRs, check the spoke once in a while.
Right on, man. That's a good tip.
Yeah. So we're kind of doing the hard work. We're beating on them and then, you know.
Well, and again, I'm on all the internet forums.
Yeah.
And I love how every once in a while somebody's like, that thing's a piece of shit. Really?
No.
No, I have got evidence.
Yeah.
I've you know what? I'm not talking about English money when I tell you I think I've got 3,000 pounds of evidence.
That's what, you know, all these guys are like, yeah, they're great bikes for 150-pound guys. We're like, no,
not
we're
really.
good.
No, that's I think we're all right on this one.
Yeah.
I have yet to hear one. I have yet to hear one scream out in anger and be like, "Fuck you, I'm dying." No, they just seem to fucking go.
Nick's got ran over by a car.
What?
People were out at the. Piper brought a bunch of her friends out, and I was riding it around, and I parked it, and I think somebody moved it to get their car out, and they must have parked it behind somebody else, and I don't know how you go and walk and get in your car and don't see that there's a bike behind it, but apparently the Christine did, and I was sitting in my chair and I heard crunch, and I heard smoke, crunch, and I heard crunch, and I'm like,
He's
then
up
I
over
heard
the top
crunch,
right
crunch again. I'm like, what the hell?
Oh my
That doesn't sound good. So I come over and she backed over it all the way up to the tires and was trying to go over it, I think, and then pulled forward.
She thought it
and
was a
everything.
muskrat.
What the
Pulled forward
fuck?
and part of her bumper cover had come off and this, that, and.
Oh, man.
But I picked up the little Todger and smacked its butt a little bit and gave him a shake. And I'm like, it looks like the shifter bent a little bit, but that was about it.
Really?
His SSR. is
Are you
not
kidding me?
No.
It's unfuckwithable.
And it took the car out.
Yeah. The car definitely had more damage.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I was worried she was going to have a pop tire or something.
Oh, man.
really?
Or a hole in her gas tank.
My cousin Joanna, one time, I pulled my CB 750.
I just pulled it out of the ground. It was kind of stuck in the
It was
ground.
mooshed in.
Maybe that's what saved it.
Yeah,
the ground being
soft
a little
soil.
soft. Yeah.
My cousin, I pulled my bike in right behind her car. And I mean, the CB 750 is not a bike that can sneak up on you.
No.
And mine was black with the gold and orange pinstripes, like
basically a manatee.
1978. It's a big motorcycle, right? You don't just like look over and be like, oh, "Gee, where'd you come from?" Right? And so I pulled in and put it behind her car at one of the family's birthday parties, and she left. And I mean, this is my cousin Joanna. She's smart. Like, she's very smart. She's very cool. I love my cousin Joanna, but apparently cannot see a 70s Japanese 750. And she backed right over my bike. Oh. Yeah. And I did not get away so easily, John. Not at all. So we can happily say that a SSR 125 is tougher than a CB 750.